And we're live. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for joining us again. Greg and Despot Show, and our excellent guest, Kristen McTiernan, who is going to be joining us in the Chutosphere very soon. She's leaving the world of book talk and booktube and is going to start doing movies and morality. Going to be talking about entertainment more often. So welcome to the Chud life. You're going to start to hate Marvel and Disney, and it's going to be great.
I'm only talking about stuff from, I'm going to say 1996 to 2016 is like the hard cutoff, because no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing new stuff. It's all terrible.
But that's where the views are at. So
right.
Come on in. And then your first video is going to be about Heat. Is that correct? Or is that just a script that you're working on?
It's going to be the first one, Heat. And then the next one is our man Negan from The Walking Dead.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And that's cool. It's hard to make a pivot like that, but I'm excited for you.
Me too.
Despot, what about you? How is the Nolan video coming along? I know that you said like 4 hours maybe.
Yeah, no, it's coming along nicely. It'll be out in early September.
Nice. Hold on just a second. Some tea if you would. Orange ginger. Thank you. Sorry, my gorgeous wife was asking me if I wanted something to drink. Well, let's just jump into it, because we got something a little bit non-movie-ish today, but sort of related in some in a DEI fashion. So let's pop in here. I don't know if a lot of you guys know about this gentleman, Jason Arday, who was, as the headline there says, the youngest black professor at Cambridge University, but had to resign a couple of weeks ago due to a plagiarism scandal. And then the more people uncovered, the weirder it got. Despot, sounds like you've looked into this a lot. Can you give us some of the? Well, let's start with the plagiarism. Let's go with the professional stuff, and then we'll get into the memoir shit, because that was just fucking. Some of it was just so stupid. Like, what are we even doing?
Yeah, there's a long list of claims. A couple that I read today was he claimed that he ran 600 miles in 6 days. That was one of them.
Yep.
Another one was that he ran 30 marathons in 36 days, but on his 21st marathon, he fell and fractured his leg, but he pushed on and finished the 9 remaining marathons, just through sheer willpower. And I think his quote afterward was something to the effect of, I don't know how I did it. Neither do I, to be honest. Bunch of stuff. He was a professional snooker player. He was a professional footballer. He played for Crystal Palace Youth Academy, I think. All sorts of crazy. He was a visiting professor at about 8 different universities. Bear in mind, he's a very young guy when he's claiming all of this. Like, he's in his early to mid 30s, making these absurd claims. Mad shit. Just and there's tons of them. It's just the sheer volume of lies this guy told. He was very clearly, not only was he a teller of tall tales, a liar, like he was a psychologically disturbed fantasist. And Cambridge clearly saw what he was doing and decided to use the guy. But Arday should at least be given credit for proving to young black men in Britain that they don't need to spend their lives stealing bikes, phones, and wallets. That one day they can support themselves and their family by stealing academic literature.
So it wouldn't be a big deal if it was a buddy of yours, because everybody has a buddy that just makes shit up. Like, I had an old coworker who would come back from vacation. One time he came back from vacation, he went to Florida, went to Miami, and he claimed that he just rented some scuba gear and just kind of went out from the shore and found a pirate wreck and found a bunch of pirate gold and reported it. And the city of Miami, like, they confiscated it, and they presented him a key to the city. There was like, he got to meet with the mayor or some shit. Like, he came back and told us this shit. Like, it really happened. Like, oh, it was the craziest thing. I found a pirate wreck and there were gold coins, and Miami kept it all, but they congratulated me and shit. But the problem is that guy was just a security guard at the armored car place that I worked at. He wasn't a chaired professor at one of the most prestigious universities on the planet. So, this guy, like I said, for those of you that don't know, Jason Arday, recently, the whole thing ended in tragedy because he was found dead the other day of an apparent suicide, because all of this kind of came out and all of the lies just, it started to pile up. And what really made this an issue in the beginning was there was a journalist, or I'm sorry, I believe a fellow or a wannabe professor or something like that, Nathan Kofness in America, and started investigating this guy, started, investigating these claims of plagiarism that Arday plagiarized somebody else's thesis from a couple of years prior.
Yeah, and when we say plagiarized, we don't mean he copied here and there. There are pages and pages and pages that are verbatim copied, plagiarized. In fact, I think the front cover of his thesis contained grammar errors because he plagiarized the grammar errors from another student. I think he didn't target professors. He would plagiarize off master's degree students because he knew that it would be much easier to get away with because they don't have any clout, they don't have any money, they can't hire a lawyer because they can't afford one. So he was very calculating. The right-wing media, or sorry, the left-wing media are presently trying to, and sort of the left in general on X, are trying to portray him as something of a victim, but he was very, very selective in who he plagiarized from, and he waged lawfare against the people who initially investigated him, and he also sort of socked the police on one of the professors who was looking into him, accusing that professor of, quote, racism, and he hired a lawyer to smear the professor and to try to prove to the police that the guy was racist. Really vile tactics, taking advantage of the sort of anti-racist state that has infected the UK. He knows full well that he can take advantage of the de facto caste system in the UK to protect himself. He did so. He waged lawfare using, wealth, power, status as a cudgel to attack his critics. Really vile behavior. And that's to say nothing of that's before we even get to the fact that he plagiarized off master's students, just ripping them right the fuck off. Because think about that. The master's students could then be accused of plagiarizing from him if their work at some point, and then they would have to go and say, no, he plagiarized me. So he's dragging them into the gutter. And of course, he fucked over his students and his students' parents by ripping them all off and lying to them. I read an article written by one of this guy's students, and this was quite personal to me because I taught students the same age that Arday taught for about 6 years. I taught in a university prep school, preparing Korean students to go off and study in the UK. So in order to do this, you have to pass an exam called IELTS. And I also had to teach them how to write essays because there's no fucking point in going to a UK university if you can't write an essay in English. So I was teaching kids that age, sort of aged 18 to 22. And it's when I read this article by the student, she said something to the effect of, Jason Arday usually showed up late. Sometimes he would be an hour late. He never had a coherent curriculum. He never sent any material in advance of his lesson or reading lists. He would just show up, sit on the desk, and talk about his views on racism for, waffling away for the rest of the class. She described his teaching as, quote, terrible. So he was fucking over everyone. His students were getting ripped off. He was wasting their time. This is something that has been completely overlooked in the press by and large, especially following his suicide. That just imagine the sheer volume of hours of time wasted when you think about all the students this guy taught throughout the years, who he wasted their time and money. I mean, are they going to get a refund? Are the student, because the students should absolutely, I don't know what you call it in the UK, but what is it, a class action lawsuit in the United States where many people hire a lawyer to sue collectively?
Yep.
They should absolutely sue Cambridge and get their money back, because that is a private business that they paid to get lectures from world-class lectures and education from world-class lecturers, and instead they have this moron showing up to waffle endlessly about racism while they sit there bemused and bored and wonder why the fuck this guy is wasting their time. They should absolutely sue Cambridge.
Chris, and you have experience with the publishing industry. So, what are the tools? Because Cambridge, of course, is saying we had no idea that he plagiarized this stuff. He is himself classifying it as a little error, like it was a couple of accidents in paraphrasing, whatever. What kind of tools as an editor, did you have at your disposal to spot plagiarism, and what was the process for how that stuff went on in the industry?
Well, I actually got my start with doctoral dissertations and theses. Now, I do not have access to the kind of programs that every university does, because you have to be faculty at a university to get access to them. You can't just buy them as a private citizen. But I was able to use like Grammarly plagiarism check, and more, especially after AI started coming out, we would get that very frequently. It's just like, okay, look, you've got a line here. This is a complete lift. But most of the time it was just like, okay, this is from one of your sources. You just didn't cite it correctly. You're making it look like you're paraphrasing, but actually it's a direct quote. You need quotation marks, things like that. Plagiarism, especially when you're looking at theses and dissertations, is the easiest thing in the world, because no matter what institution you go to, that is filed away, and it goes way, way back, the 60s, the 40s, all the way back. So it's just a matter of feeding it into and being like, hey, where is this? So the fact that they did not find this blatant, obvious, complete lifting of another person's work where he didn't even bother to fudge it, that has to be willful. It has to be, especially with how seriously it's taken at an institution like Cambridge. So I won't believe, I refuse to believe that, oh, we just plumb didn't catch it. No, you didn't look, or you did look and you swept it under the rug. There's literally no other explanation.
Yeah, well, and I completely agree. Like, it is, they knew that there was plagiarism involved, but they wanted him, and the reason they wanted him is very obvious, because it goes beyond just like a DEI hire thing. Because the general point that this whole story brings to light is that DEI was only the beginning, much like the First Order, and really his appointment to not only professor but chair at Cambridge was the type of thing that we saw. Oh God, I can't remember what was the show that Disney had. Remember, Despot, we were talking about this with Echo, like, and he had a term for it. The Daredevil spinoff where the gal was deaf and she also was missing a limb.
Identity Junkie. That was Echo.
It was Identity Junkies, but he had a term for like how it was like stacked up identities or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's the issue with Arday here. Is it's not just that he's the youngest Black professor. He also claimed to be autistic, and he overcame being nonverbal, and he also you're stacking things on top. He was illiterate till he was 18, right? So it's stacking. It's like it's DEI multiplicity at this point. Like, it's not just about the skin color, because that's not enough anymore. The Oppression Olympics, you can't just have one avenue of intersectionality. You got to have 4, 5, 6 of them stacked up on top of each other. Just like, what the hell? Somebody's got to give me the name of the show. It's bothering me now. But the name
was Echo. The name of the show is Echo.
Yeah, it was Echo.
Oh, that's right. I thought you were talking about. I was thinking of Echo because at the time we were streaming with Echo.
Yeah, apparently the young kids, girls in particular, are carrying canes now because they're disabled. A physical disability and being able to scream ableism at someone is now the hot new thing for the young morbidly obese women.
Yeah, if I heard, what's her name? I can't. Oh yeah, Bella Ramsey. Bella Ramsey. She's obviously non-binary, so, but she'll also go on stage, and on one occasion she went on stage and said, "Oh, my autism does not do well with this." And she's pretending to be autistic, and she's not autistic. I've met autistic people, and I know what autistic people are like, and she is not autistic. She's just pretending to have a mental illness because it's fashionable among a certain subsection of Gen Z for whatever bizarre reason. Yeah. So she's pretending to be non-binary. Non-binary is not a thing, by the way, but she's pretending to be non-binary. She's pretending to be autistic, and it's just this sort of horrible little subculture that encourages people to award themselves diversity points so that they can, and you can understand why, because human beings, I imagine Greg is going to be talking about this later in his Greg Fixes section, but human beings respond to incentives. All right. I'm not necessarily even blaming Bella Ramsey. She's just a fairly, a not particularly bright young woman. But when you create incentives, people respond to those incentives. And if you incentivize people to pretend that they're a, transracial, non-binary, cane using handicap with a mental retardation, then they're going to do that because they think, well, if I do this, I can elevate my social status. especially among my particular social set, I will have access to jobs and job opportunities that I otherwise would not have had access to. So this is all incentivized. It's not just the kids being, goddamn kids. It's being incentivized by institutions, by the establishment, by government. That's why they're doing it. Although, in fairness, I think, Kristen, the one you're talking about, the specific one with like kids walking around McCain's, that is just they want internet clout.
I mean, some of it is beneficial though, and then his thesis itself, it also just plays into the whole thing. I mean, his entire thesis, what he stole from people were other critical theorists. I mean, his whole thesis was about critical theory, and that's another part of the story. Like, there's so many aspects of the story. Like, the more I looked into it, it's crazy because originally it was just plagiarism, right? Well, then people start looking into his thesis and his so-called research, because when you get a PhD, you can't just aggregate other studies. You have to actually do some sort of field work. You have to show that you did something, right? And his entire thesis is basically just about the effects of racism, institutional, disenfranchised, blah, 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 whatever, bunch of buzzwords. And apparently, even the work that he did, the stuff he didn't plagiarize, was him just pretty much asking the people he knows, hey, how do you guys feel about racism? Is racism bad? And they were like, yeah, it's really affected me. And he was like, cool, sweet. So racism is it's bad, and layers of intersection, horrible. And then he put it into his thesis. So even the stuff that he did himself was the most fluffy, buzzword-laden bullshit, and Cambridge ate it up. And so did I got to look up where he got his PhD, but that university also ate it up. And they were like, oh, well, 100%. And they're not going to call him on it because, as you said, if they were to doubt him, or if they were to say this topic is stupid or this research you did is nonsense, he's already shown that he's willing to call the police on people. He's willing to make up shit. Did you hear about the Godfather-esque threat that he claimed was made against him?
Yeah, that's right.
He said that somebody left a severed pig's head at his apartment.
No, it was somebody left his severed pig heads, I think at his parents' or his mother's house. And then they called the police, and the police investigated it for a while. And somebody asked the police about this, and the police said there is no record of that incident ever happening.
Yeah. There's no record. For the folks in America, like, you guys don't realize the dystopian surveillance nightmare that Britain is. I believe I heard somebody talking about this week. I think that there is a camera for every like 11 or 12 people in Britain or some shit like that. It's insane how many cameras there are in Britain. Like, we think the flock camera thing in America is a big problem, and it is, but Britain's crazy. So the fact that there is no footage of this incident, there's no record of this incident at all, everything anybody does, the tweets they make in Britain, the cops will show up at your house. Like, they're tracked everywhere. It is an absolute Philip K. Dick nightmare. So the fact that they can't find a shred of evidence is especially damning in Britain, because they would know about it. This is the most Jussie Smollett nonsense imaginable, to just say, yeah, somebody, thank you so much, left me a severed pig's head. He then claimed to try to bolster his image because he's got this memoir coming up. And Despot, do you know how because I'm hearing that there's like an official transcript and then there's like a draft transcript. And how did people find out what was going to be in the memoir, but then what actually went in? What's the story on that?
The memoir is going to be, I think it's still, last I checked, it's still set for publication. To be honest, if I was the publication house, I would absolutely publish it. It's going to do good numbers.
Oh God, yeah.
So fuck it at this stage. And I'm sure his family want it published. They'll make a lot of money out of it. So it's getting published, I think. And there have been advanced copies were sent to journalists and literary critics, and they are now talking about it online. And yeah, it's a load of sensationalist shite. He makes some new claims in it, the usual rubbish. Some of his taller tales don't make it in there, but others do. But no, it's ready to be published. It's not a draft manuscript or anything. It's going to be published next week, I think, or the week after.
But some of the stuff that's not in there was a draft. And so people somehow got a hold of the draft to see what was in there, because like the marathon stuff, him running 600 miles in 6 days.
I guess because he co-wrote it with somebody else. And it's possible that either the person he was co-writing it with, who I suspect was really just a ghostwriter, because this guy, he's so fucking lazy that he used ChatGPT to write his resignation letter from Cambridge. So it's not just that he's a plagiarist; he is supremely fucking lazy. This is a guy who's just allergic to work. So I'm guessing that his co-writer on the autobiography was actually really just a ghostwriter, and that he gave the ghostwriter a sort of bullet points, and put all this in there. And the ghostwriter decided not to include some of the more insane stuff, or the book editor insisted that it be taken out, or the publisher insisted it be taken out just for their own reputation. Probably the editor or the publisher.
So what I saw, I'm just trying to gather some stuff online. There apparently there were multiple ultra marathons. So like 600 miles in 6 days or something like that. And just for those of you, my coworker is like a real fitness guy, which is confusing and also just embarrassing. But he ran an ultra marathon recently because he's just like, I don't know. I don't understand it. I'm proud of him. I think it's an amazing feat. I just like what you flew somewhere and ran 100 miles. So it's ultra marathon is 100 miles. And it took him like 20 or 26 hours or something. I think it was just over a day to run 100 fucking miles. It's crazy how long, like people just can't fathom how much that is. And for him to say that he did that in 6 or even 12 days is almost impossible. It's like world record type shit. And he just
you would need to be an elite ultra marathoner. Like, there's very few people on the planet who can do that. Very few. And for the vast majority of people, that it doesn't matter how much training you do, you wouldn't be able to do it because you simply don't have the genetics. Just a tiny minority of athletes could do that. So it's really insane shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. My coworker, he couldn't shit solid for like 6 days after he got back. He had like massive edema in his leg. Like he was wrecked. And I thought, why are you doing that? So he loved it. That's fine. People love what they do. But his other claim was that he was digging some wells for a charity in Brazil, and the charity in question said, we don't ask people to do that. That's not a thing that we do. No one does that in our name. That's not real. So just complete fabrication. Called the cops on the guy that tried to talk about his plagiarism, claimed that he had a pig head delivered Godfather style, claimed that somebody showed up to the university and threatened him with a knife. Also no record of that happening at all. And what's the other thing? Oh, the nonverbal stuff. That was the other, I think that was the big thing that Cambridge loved, is that he claimed to be completely nonverbal until he was almost 12, claimed to be completely illiterate until he was 18. And then through what he calls his indomitable spirit, after 18, he just was a voracious learner and worked his way all the way up to being a PhD by like 30 and then being hired at Cambridge at 37. So, I mean, it's a success story that you just love. Like it's amazing. If it were true, it would be incredible. But
on our last stream with Vex, we basically the viewers they voted the two worst things that young people have to deal with in society as mass immigration and DEI. Like it was a tie. And yeah, DEI really is a cancer. But from what I've seen on X, and certainly from Cambridge University and left-wing press generally, they absolutely don't want this to be about DEI. Their narrative is that this guy was driven to suicide by the evil right-wingers who were hounding him online. That's very much the narrative. It's not his fault. It's not DEI's fault. It's not Cambridge's fault. It's your fault, Greg. And all those other chuds, we are the ones that did this, which is ridiculous. I wouldn't even blame, I blame Cambridge, obviously, for the whole thing, but the guy did it to himself. It was a suicide. Unless somebody killed him and he's just taking the credit. But no, he did it to himself. He's the only one to blame, and that's it. Really, when it comes down to it, I'll blame Cambridge for hiring. What are you saying, Kristen?
It's not even new, this idea that someone could be driven to self-harm because they were elevated beyond their ability to be somebody's DEI pet. I think the first one that they did this was like back in the 90s. It was like early 90s. Somebody did something for the Journal of Applied Psychology, and that they found there were massive psychological perceptual issues where this was specifically Black Americans, where if they were given a position in university, or most especially if they were given employment, where they would not have made the cut if they were any other race, but they were elevated to that position, simply because of their race, they had negative psychological effects they performed worse, not just in their ability to perform, but in how they felt about themselves, and their overall career progression went worse because they felt that they didn't belong there. They felt that they were bullied, or felt like they were picked on. They felt inferior. Whereas, if they had gotten the job for themselves, they would not have. And then there was another study, and this was much later, it was like early 2000s, where they looked at, because if you looked at a non-HBCU, like a law school, what they found was that Black students as a whole were in the bottom 10% consistently of their class. But if you removed all of the ones who did not meet the cut for other races like white or Asian, then that difference disappeared. So DEI is the problem. A lot of times over on Twitter, it's like, oh, it's just their genetics. As a people, they suck. Well, no, because the ones who got the same scores, who actually earned their place there, they do just as well as the whites, as the Asians. It's the ones who are given special spots that don't. And they found that consistently. So I don't know why Cambridge thinks that they can just be like, oh, well, we'll just take this completely inept fraud. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure there will be no negative effects.
I mean, the academic literature on what we today call DEI has been around for decades.
Mm-hmm.
It was originally called affirmative action in the States, and Thomas Sowell looked into it extensively. And what he figured was that if you promote, because at the time it was very fashionable for universities were beginning to put in quotas for Blacks in the USA, and Thomas Sowell looked into this, and what he found was that basically the dropout rate for Blacks in these higher universities increased massively because these were people who were promoted into institutions that were too advanced for them. If you take a Black kid who would have done perfectly well in, I don't know, the State University of Minnesota or something, would have got his degree, would have been all right. But if you take him and you put him into Harvard, well, he's going to drop out in the second semester because he can't compete at that academic level. That's vastly beyond what he's used to, what he's able to do. And so he said, if you actually didn't have affirmative action programs, Blacks would be far better off because they would go to schools that are far more suitable to their academic level, and the really exceptional ones, they can go on to Harvard and so forth, and they can do well there. The problem, though, I think, and the reason I don't think DEI is ever going to go away, certainly not anytime soon, is because according to the worldview of these people, all racial differences are the result of racism, unless it's against white men. Like if white men make up a very tiny minority of, I don't know, the Shakespearean acting company, well, that's a good thing. That's the result of progress, not racism. But in all other cases, it's racism. And so if you were to do it on a completely even playing field, you would end up with very few Blacks in the higher institutions. You would have some, I'm guessing, but it would be dominated by, honestly, Asians. If Harvard, I think someone did a study on this, they said if Harvard let students in just on merit and score, it would be like 65% Asians. I don't know if it's that high, but it would be something like 65% Asians, a few Indians, the rest would be white, and then like 1 or 2% Black or less than 1% Black, because the reality is that IQ distribution across races is different. I mean, all races can produce exceptionally intelligent people. That's true. But the distribution across the population is different. I mean, that's simply cold, hard data that is borne out. For example, there were these Nigerian YouTubers who went to the streets of Lagos to check the UN's IQ stats, which they doubted. They said, we think that these stats might be, racist or outdated. And they found that it was exactly the same. It was like an average IQ of 75. But you can still get, that doesn't mean like, oh, Black people have an IQ of 75. It means you can still get extremely intelligent individuals and very talented individuals from that group, but it doesn't change the overall average IQ distribution. The problem with that is that it goes against the fundamental blank slate ideology that we're all the same, and there's no real cognitive differences between races, and the hard reality that I think a lot of people, especially in the modern age, after decades of indoctrination, the hard reality that is a fact. A lot of people just don't want to accept that, and so they'd rather just rig society with DEI than accept that cold, hard, brutal fact.
Well, the good news is that we don't have to worry about this kind of thing anymore, because not only is Arday dead, but woke is dead also. I don't know if you guys know about this. But woke one it's gone. It's gone. Kristen knew exactly where I was going. It's gone. We're done with that. AOC has declared it. Woke one was, just laugh it off. It's no big deal. As a matter of fact, I want you to hear it. I want you to hear it for yourself. Where are we at? Need the audio with this. So here's AOC giving basically her first 2028 run speech, right? This is pretty much her saying, I'm going to run for president. And this question was asked about Wisconsin Governor Francesca Hong. And the host is asking her, like, what do you do with this person who has said a lot of crazy stuff? How do you, as a Democrat, how do you get around it? So that's kind of the lead up to this. And then her response is pretty awesome.
What do you make of those controversial statements? I'm sure you've seen. I mean, she's, the Thanksgiving dust up. Mm-hmm. She says she doesn't, still believe that, but, the abolished prisons, abolished police, which is also positions that have been taken by a lot of the progressive candidates who have won. Mm-hmm. How do you get around that? I mean, those are not positions that are supported by.
Right. I think that a lot of these races, even right now, they'll have a tendency to be nationalized. Yeah. But these races ultimately are local, and all politics are local. My understanding is that that Francesca Hong has made clear her present stances to her electorate.
Yeah, she's moved away from a lot of that.
Right, she's moved away from it. And I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Woke one was crazy. Okay, that's
and I think that what's important is that we have to assess what.
So woke one was just that was a crazy blip in the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's so weird. I don't know. People's entire livelihoods were destroyed, and they were completely demonetized and chased off with torches and pitchforks. But it's just, you know what? She's moved away from those positions now, and so it's fine. It's all good. It's all good.
It's not like there's thousands of mutilated children who were fed, fake hormones and encouraged to chop their dicks off. They're going to be all right. It was just a crazy time.
It was. Yeah. It was. Yeah. Just like Gamergate. It's no big deal. We're all gonna look back and laugh on it. It's no problem whatsoever. It's fine.
The funny thing is I don't think she pays close enough attention to TikTok to realize that invoking woke 2 is not the win she thinks it is. The woke 2 is not like the New Testament, the kinder, gentler Yahweh. Woke 2, like if you listen to the cane wielding purple-haired people on TikTok, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till woke 2. It's like, so I don't think she's paying enough attention to the internet to think that woke 2 is what she wants to lean into here.
No, and I've seen the exact same thing, because I've seen people quoting her, and they're saying, that's right, you maggots. Woke 1 was crazy. Woke 2, you're gonna fucking get it. Like, so yeah, she thinks that we're laughing this off and we're moving on, but her supporters, or some of them, they think it's like a call to get even crazier with it. It's awesome. It's amazing. So we're going to see even more. We're going to see even more historic young whatever group, also with mental disability, also with whatever else they're going to stack. It's just going to get even more. We're going to get more. We're going to have Jason Arday times 10. It's going to be fantastic.
Let's say you are a conservative in 2026, and you look at her saying woke one was crazy. Do you really want to? Can you even take that as some sort of cultural or political victory and go, we defeated them and they'd know it? Like, think about it. There was this since around 2016, there was a massive push for DEI, vast amounts of mass immigration, a lot of it sort of based on political all of it based on political ideology, really, when it comes down to it, shoving tens of millions of people into Western countries, and those people are all going to vote left wing. They jammed every left wing policy they could down the throat of society. They transed God knows how many kids, hundreds of thousands, I don't know. They did immense irreversible damage to society, to children, to entertainment and culture. And you might say, well, now they're sort of just refitting, retooling, waiting for the infantry to catch up. it's not. I don't think it's necessarily the retreat that it looks like. They're just hunkering down, and eventually they're going to relaunch another cultural revolution but their baseline this time will be much further forward. What was conserved? Like, what do we have in society in the West? Like, do we have any societies that are more conservative today than they were in 2016? Because it's not the fucking case in Ireland or the UK. It's not the case in Canada or France or Germany, really. I mean, there is a large right-wing backlash, but none of them are in power. Not one of them. In France, they almost got in power, and the entire left wing in government, like all the parties in government, all the other parties formed a big fucking left-wing coalition to keep them out. So what has changed? I mean, sure, the rhetoric on X is a lot more aggressive. And yes, there are right-wing movements like Restore Britain, Reform, or, Alternative for Deutschland in Germany. Marine Le Pen's much more popular in France, but none of them are in power. So what the fuck? How was Woke One not a complete victory for the left when it comes down to it? An incomplete victory, I should say, but a victory nonetheless. I mean, am I wrong?
Not at all. And especially now we have the example of, well, we can, end you. We can do it in broad daylight in 4K and have it all over Twitter. And then the people supposedly on the victim's side will turn around and blame the wife instead of the guy who said he did it, wrote on the bullets that he did it, and is now on trial for it. So it's like you don't even have friends on your own side. It's like there's no victory to the right at all anywhere on the planet, and it's horrible to see.
It's like the way they celebrated the defeat of the trans movement. Oh, well done, guys! Fucking great! You defeated a movement that asserts that if a boy chops off his dick, he becomes a girl. Well, what a great fucking victory that was! That was amazing. Now we don't have to watch our children become sterilized as we are replaced by third world migrants. Great job for conserving. You really conserved on that one. It's like, this is the best you've got.
Hey, we
Little
didn't
boys
let
aren't chopping
Lily
their dicks off
Wachowski
anymore. That is the level of conservatism in 2026.
Mhm.
It's pathetic. That should never have been allowed to get anywhere near as far as it did. If conservatives had anything resembling a spine in the West, then trans would have been stomped the fuck out on day one. Instead, it was allowed to run rampant and destroy a generation of children. It's just, and to celebrate that as a victory, that's just shocking. That's just one example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we exposed this one guy, Arday, and so
yeah,
good job,
DEI is
boys.
defeated. Victory
Good
for
job,
Chuds.
boys. Lily Wachowski can't get a movie produced. Good job,
by
everybody.
The way,
we
Lily
did
Wachowski,
it.
That's got nothing to do with the trans nonsense. The reason Lily Wachowski, or whatever the fuck his name, whatever name he has given himself, the reason he can't get a movie is produced is because of his box office bomb record. His last movie, which made any money, I think, was Matrix Revolution. Assuming that made money, I think it did. And he did 3 movies after that, and they all bombed, like massive bombs, really big, expensive bombs. If you are a Hollywood investor or producer, you're not going to give him any money because his track record is so bad, and well, the next movie is going to be another bomb. I'm not going to piss my money away. Like, I know that Hollywood are all into the trans shit, but at the same time, they like money more. So if fucking Christopher Nolan wanted to make a movie about with an all trans cast, I guarantee you he'd get the money. Not even Christopher Nolan. You could go. Olivia Wilde could do it. Olivia Wilde she's a pretty bad writer, but she's a technically capable and honestly quite good director. Like, if she had a good script, she would make a good movie. She's good at casting. She's a good actor director. She's pretty good with cinematography. Olivia Wilde, she's technically very competent, and she could get an all trans movie made. I have no doubt, because all of her movies that she's directed have made money. They're not big hits, but she's very smart with her budgeting, and she knows what the expected box office is, and she budgets accordingly. If she wanted, she could do that movie. But, if you've got 3 box office bombs over the past 20 years, yeah, you're not getting it. It's as simple as that. It's got nothing to do with trans stuff. It's just business.
I mean, it sounds like something a bigot would say. So we got a couple of new segments going on here. Oh, where's my media assets? So we're gonna do a little fun segment here. I don't have one for me, but I've got one for you. Hang on just a second.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're gonna hear about it.
So we've got the Despot diatribe. Despot is going to find something that grinds his gears, and he's going to let us have it in 500 words or less.
No, I'm not. I thought you were going to do the diatribe this episode.
Oh, I thought we both had one.
No, it wasn't on the because I was thinking, wait a minute, why didn't Greg ask me to do a diatribe?
Well, I thought it was a given. All right. Well, in that case, Despot asked me to do a new segment called Greg Saves America. We can't call it Dad Saves America. That's copyright infringement. And I kind of like that guy's show and I want to be on there one day. So I'm going to piss him off, and I'm not Catholic. So Greg Saves America, where I will take the 500 word challenge. And I've got something that I think is going to save the world right here. America and the world has become a civilized and Gentile place. And while that comes with many benefits, it also allows for some people to cause issues unchecked because we've codified our gentility into law now. A high trust society is based on respect for one another. In the best of cases, that respect ought to come from the knowledge that we're all created in the image of an awesome God, and respect for each other is respect for God. But if we can't, that cannot be achieved, I am okay with basic respect coming from a place of slight fear. Fear that you'll get slapped in the fucking mouth if you cause a scene in public. So I can solve many problems in America and the world by adding provocation clauses to assault legislation. In what I would like to be called the FAFO Act, if a person is being hostile to another person or is causing a large general disturbance in public, a citizen will have the right for up to 2 open-handed slaps upon the perpetrator. The slapper will be liable for serious injuries, but minor scrapes and bruises will legally be called an asshole tax and will be considered punishment served for the offending party. Now, in the case of an asshole being larger than the potential slapper, the 2 slaps can be substituted for 1 tasing, no longer than 5 seconds total. If the asshole pisses themselves during the tasing, that will also be considered part of the asshole tax. Now, I mentioned a large general disturbance in public, and you might be wondering what that is. It will not be limited to, but can include things like bringing a radio to the beach, smelling like weed in a grocery store, shouting at any kind of service worker or customer service person at all, using a bullhorn for any reason whatsoever in public, flash mobs of any sort, and any kind of social media influencer behavior. We can add to that list, no problem. I believe that if we adopt the FAFO Act, this single measure will increase general civility tenfold. Vote for Greg. Thank you very much. Be running in 2028. All right.
You good?
I'm good. I feel good. I just want to slap people. I just think people need fucking slapped.
I know what you mean. There's a channel I follow called Joey B. Tunes, and he basically talks about the most insufferable social media influencers and TikTokers and the shit that these fucking people do. They will block traffic to try to get the right photo or the right video with a particular sunset. They'll block traffic to play with like grizzly bears and bison. Like there's one video where there's a bison on the road and some idiot stops his car and runs out and starts, playing with the bison because he wants a video. He wants internet points. There's idiots that will bring their kids in front of dangerous animals because they want internet points. People walking around like children's parks in, I don't know what you call it, sadomasochist leather kink stuff, just to get attention. Oh, Christ. Like, 2 slaps. I'm almost disappointed, Greg. Like, that's all. That's all these people get.
See, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to angle. We need to shake these things out. Here's the thing: is I feel like if it's got to be open-handed, otherwise you're just going to have people beating the shit out of each other in the streets. And what you want is to reduce obnoxious behavior and increase civility. So you gotta limit it to 2 slaps. It's got to be open hand or a 5-second tase. I don't want things to be just open brawls in the street, but I do feel like some people just need a quick reminder that there are other people in the world and their solipsistic tendencies need a little. It's like a broken record. They just need a quick little, and they'll be fine. They'll get back to their senses.
That's a good use for the canes, because in the Victorian era, the gentleman would carry the canes and wallop ruffians who accosted decent people. We should bring that back, and then you can herd the influencers out. It's like, you don't know how to behave in the gym, madam, out you go. It's not your filming studio.
Yes. You're clearly trying to get people to look at you. You need a slap. You need a caning.
I saw one where the girl was like, "You just walked through my shot. I let it slide the first time." The way I would snatch her up to say that to me at a public gym. It's like, nope. We're not doing that.
All right. Before we move on to something hilarious and disgusting, Giga Kent gave one Despot Adventure membership. Thank you very much for that. Very nice of you.
Giga.
Toxic Waltz was talking about the Jason Arday thing. All the dumb kids got degrees in communications and psych, and I don't know what his degree was in, but I know that the paper was about basically just critical theory bullshit. Tekla Peaceful Dance said, AOC says, we want the same terrible thing, but in a nicer way this time. And that was so much of woke shit. A lot of it was very racist, but we just put a happy face and a pride flag on it, and now it's okay. When they do it, Despot, is it legal or not illegal when they do it?
It's an interesting question. What are they going? What does she have in mind for woke 2 or woke? Likely isn't going away. The incentive structure is built into media, academia, HR, etc. They're also likely just going into hiding to reintroduce everything under better language. Yeah, I would agree with quite a bit of that. It's not going to be as blatant. I think they understood that too much of what the propaganda had become too loud, and that's not what propaganda is really supposed to do. It's supposed to be much more subtle and underhanded. I think I talked about this in the other stream, the last stream. That's how you get from DOMA, Defensive Marriage Act under Bill Clinton, to the Supreme Court just legislating gay marriage into existence across the entire country. You use underhanded, subtle propaganda. The fact that all those nice guest characters in those sitcoms that you like are gay and they want to get married someday. That's how you get to that. It's subtle. It's not shoving shit down people's throat like the trans movement did. I think what they're beginning to understand is that they need to get back to more insidious forms of propaganda.
Yeah. And I think we'll start seeing that.
Are the incentive structures? I mean, I know that Trump got rid of all the DEI bullshit, but at the same time, it's still in corporate, it's still in academia, it's still in media, and HR.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue, though. He got rid of some stuff, but then got all of his credibility is gone with the entire Iran thing. That's a huge fuck up. That's going to just ruin the rest of anything that he planned on doing that his supporters thought was going to be great. It's over. He's not getting anything done for the next 2 years.
Yeah, I'm not. I was sick to death talking about Trump the day after he got reelected, but at the same time, his main platform for reelection was cost of living. That's my understanding. Basically, immigration and cost of living. I'm going to deport the illegals, going to secure the border, going to get the cost of living down. Those are the big things. And cost of living, am I right in saying that it's gone up immensely, Greg?
100%. Yeah.
Then
when I say 100%, I mean like actually 100% in some cases. Like there are certain food items that are 100% more expensive than they were 2 years ago.
Then you can be a big chud and a big fucking MAGA guy. It's a failure. That second term is a failure if he couldn't get the cost of living down. Simple as that.
Yeah, and your read on that is 100% correct. That Angerius, thanks for the 10 Canadian dollars. And then also Grasshopper 5 Despot memberships. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Grasshopper. I appreciate that.
But your read on that is correct. That I didn't vote for the guy. It's not that I hate him. I didn't really want to support him and I didn't trust him. And but like I said, I didn't hate him, and I have a lot of friends that were supporters, and that was across the board. They were all like, look, we don't give a shit about the culture stuff is fun to make fun of, whatever. We don't care about that. Like, we're voting for this guy because money. Everything's expensive. We can barely afford anything. And he said he's going to bring the cost down. So that's what we're going to vote for him. And it didn't work out. And so, yeah, it's whoever is going to follow him up, I think is screwed because of it. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Big opportunity for the left. I think they realize this. And that's what I would say is saying. She's saying, that a lot of the Trump base is very upset about how it's gone. And his second term does look to be a failure. So this is a good opportunity for us to get in 2028, and they're starting that now, and they do have a good chance if they run it right and they don't make it such a big culture war thing and they focus on saying stuff like cost of living. They might well win.
Yeah. Which, and the reason that the issue is like this, I mean, yeah, less bad than the alternative. And I don't disagree that like cost of living would be worse or the same or whatever under Kamala, but that's not a winning. You don't win elections on
we're not talking economics. We're talking politics. The two have nothing to do with one another, as Greg well knows.
Yeah, they have a really good entry point with the food because beef is so expensive. And having been one of the thousands and thousands of federal employees, specifically, I was employed by the USDA. And a lot of the people who took that deal along with me, like I was just an asshole laptop job girly. But we're talking frontline livestock inspectors. We're talking people with specialized agricultural economics degrees. They do not grow on trees and they just quit because we were told in mass emails, sometimes directly from Elon, hey, we don't want you and you suck. Please go away. And now they're on this. I don't know if you guys have been following this, but now they're on a huge hiring tear because the cuts were way too deep. And it's part of why the price of beef specifically has gone up so much, why they had to cull herds. And they shouldn't have had to do that. If they had the staff, that they wouldn't have had to do that. So it is a huge problem. If they just lean into the price of food, I'm sorry to say that they might have a very big opening.
Yeah, I actually did not know that. The lack of inspectors is why they had to kill. As I knew that they were. I've got friends here because you're in Iowa, right, Kristen?
I know I'm in Kansas.
I knew it was somewhere in the Midwest of me because I'm in Illinois, and I've got some friends who they have some cattle. They're not like huge ranchers or anything, but whatever, 20, 30 head, something like that. And I never could get into the details of it, so I'm very interested in that because I buy from guys and their prices are like double what they were a couple of years ago. And they're just like,
price is really low because we import a lot of beef and they just weren't inspecting the herd. So some came in with screw worms, I think, some kind of disgusting parasite. And then there was a whole other herd that didn't get inspected and they didn't find out until after the meat was already on sale. Now, thankfully, from what we can see, that herd was not infected with anything fatal. So that's great. But the fact of the matter is they were not inspected. So they're relying very heavily on domestic people who are raising beef. And that's unfortunately still the minority. Yeah.
That is interesting. I was wondering because I asked a buddy of mine about it and he didn't, and he buys it. He's like, I don't know. I just buy them. And at auction, they're like double what they were. So I got to charge you more. And I'm like, that's, I don't not believe you. I just was hoping you had some insight. You freaking raise the damn things. And he's like, nope, don't know. I just know they're more expensive. Yeah. So that's even more damning. And it's just like somebody was saying in the comments, just a lot of unforced errors with this second term. It's really, really bad. And it was such a layup. A lot of these problems were such layups, and that's how he got elected. And I don't know, it's been very, very bad.
Yeah, and then of course you've got the sort of the boomer con right. We're always very pro-Israel, but that has completely shifted. My understanding is that basically Israel's one of the very few topics that unites the sort of politics of the US. Everyone under the age of 60 basically hates Israel now. And on the right especially, like it's crazy. Like they hate them almost as much as the left now for different reasons, because they feel like, Israel is bankrupting us by dragging us all into all these fucking wars we don't want to be involved in and we shouldn't be involved in. So a lot of people think that Trump is just an Israel shill, and to be honest, he kind of is. So yeah, it's the right, I would think, are very demoralized right now. I think you're going to get low turnout in possibly for the next election. So if the left are just smart and they listen to the Despot, who does know how to do propaganda. By the way, I've got my own, political opinions on that, but I can still be bought. So the Democrats, if you're listening, I will become your minister for propaganda for AOC's presidential campaign. I'll be great at it. It's going to cost you a lot of money, but you'll win. Everyone has a price.
You know what? At least you're honest about it. And I think that's admirable. You're not hiding it. You're right out there. List your prices on your website. I think that's where you want to go. So hang on, let's grab this one before we move on. Said Dreadnought Logan says, in the food industry, I don't understand what you're looking at. The prices are about the same since 24. Also, inflation of 25% in 2022 to 24. I'm looking at my grocery bill. Like I'm looking at my actual Sam's orders. There are many items that have gone up 100%. Beef is one of them. That's the most obvious one. But you've got a lot of food items that are continuing to go up, and so if they're only 50%, that's still not, you're not winning arguments that way. Like this whole, like, it could have been worse thing that a lot of people are doing with Trump, it might even be technically correct, but you're not going to win an election by saying, but it could have been so much, there are no giraffes around, that's why our giraffe repellent was working. Well, you're not going to win that shit. But on to something funnier. There is a movie coming out in October. Kristen, are you excited about this one? This movie is ribbed for your pleasure. This is Wicker with Olivia Colman. It is, if you guys have not seen this shit, you got to watch this trailer. It is wild. What you're looking at there in the middle is the titular Wicker husband. Olivia Colman is living in a little backwater village, and the people just think that she's weird, and she asks Peter Dinklage, who is the local basket weaver, to weave her a husband. And he does, and he comes to life, and they fuck a lot. And there's probably other plot points as well, but the thrust of the trailer is that they doing it. It's like San Quentin, and they fucking in San Quentin. So that's real. This is a real thing. It is really happening. How the fuck did we get here, guys?
I can tell you exactly how we got here. So, as an editor of fiction, yes, and seeing what these book lunatics are into. So let me set the stage for the monster fucker population. Okay. So these are a subset of the dark romance girlies. Okay. So these are very much their own thing. 50 Shades of Grey is not enough for these girls. So 3 things are true for them. 1, they are displeased, gentlemen, with you and your human parts. And all of the things that they are attracted to in these books, the dominance, the aggression, the not taking no for an answer, that's fine when Mr. Skullface does it. It's totally fine, and it's sexy because they can project that whatever's going on. It's their safe place. The safe soul-sucking demon is arousing to them. Meanwhile, if you try to be alpha Chad, if you're following the advice you read online, that's disgusting and repellent. So this is a reaction, and they'll say this with their full chest. They love the monster fucker books because men suck. You disappoint them, so they want the soul-sucking demon with the cow skull face. I'm not sure how we got to that one specifically. The second one is the bigger the better. They want to feel like small girl. They want to feel like small girl, like that gross millennial cringe girl. Okay. And a lot of these bitches are not small. And so in order to feel small, they need something not quite human. All right. So that's the second one. And then finally, once we got The Shape of Water, how many years ago was that? It was a while. So The Shape of Water, 2017, the Guillermo del Toro fish fucker movie. Once that was screened and it made money, I was like, we're gonna see more of these. We're gonna see more, and I was not wrong. So I think there's gonna be a lot more of this. Wicker is just, I don't think it'll be long before we have Morning Glory, Minotaur, Milker Farm. I think that's gonna be 2028 box office. Oh
God. It's just, we had Cocaine Bear. So it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
I almost respect the fact that it's so blatant. Like, this Hollywood are perfectly happy now to admit, yeah, we're just making porn for horny middle-aged women. We don't care. And that's it. We're basically doing this weird erotica monster cock clitlet porn, and fuck you. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. That's their attitude. And they're going to make a lot of money. Like, it's a smart thing to do from their perspective. Fuck. Yeah,
I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to do it with glee. I can't wait. It's going to be horrible in all the best ways. I can't wait.
It also, I mean, there is a sort of, there is a, not to drag the mood down, but unfortunately there is a large audience for this of single, lonely, sexually frustrated middle-aged women, because feminism has created this vast sort of subsect of the population by encouraging women to, reject all but the very best men that you deserve. The sort of common sense culture of, meeting your match. No, you never fucking hear that word anymore. Like that expression. There used to be an expression, go out and meet your meet your match or match with a man. No one says match. Match now is just it's a brand name for like fucking dating apps. But it used to mean something. To match with someone meant to find someone who is of roughly equal socioeconomic status and to get married, basically, without wasting too much time. It's if that person is, good looking, great, consider that a bonus, but that's how it used to be. And it wasn't such a big deal because, 100 years ago, not everyone was a fat fuck. Like everyone was basically trim and I won't say healthy, like that sort of romanticizes the past, that they were not healthy. They figured this out in the World War I draft, but they were at least trim. But now it's like a lot of women are encouraged to think, well, you deserve the best. You deserve Chad Alpha. And if why should you settle for Mr. Average, despite the fact that you're a bit of a plain Jane yourself? No, you need the best. And it's created all these single women and they're a huge audience for this rubbish. And that audience is only going to grow when you look at the, we were discussing this last week, 2 weeks ago in the last stream, the fact that younger people are having less sex, the rate of singledom or being single is much higher among young people. So you're going to end up with a lot of very lonely middle-aged people who are going to be watching shit like this. And you already have them. You're just going to get even more of them. When did the future get so shit, Greg?
About 10 years ago. And COVID kicked it off real bad.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm with you though, Kristen. Like I'm not going to go to the theater. I'm not going to be seen watching this shit, but I'm going to try to find this because I feel like I got to make a video on this. This just has to be laughed at here. Porno Pinocchio, or Pornocchio as somebody called it. Yeah, Peter Dinklage said putting dwarfs in movies was exploitation, especially if they're magical, but I guess he is now.
No, he's the only dwarf who's allowed to act. All the other ones, it's exploitation. He gets all the dwarf jobs.
It is.
By the way, guys, that little
Peter does it is not illegal.
If you look at the photo there, I know most of you just listen to this, but if you look at the screen and you see that little still from Wicker, you can see that the canoe is very clearly a metaphor, but I'll not tell you what it's a metaphor for.
Wait,
you can work that out yourself.
Are you? Is it supposed to be suggestive of?
It's a suggestive metaphor, yeah.
What?
I'm sure this movie has tons of them.
Super deep movie. Something's getting deep. I know that.
Do you know what I was thinking though? I mean, surely if his cock is made out of wicker, like it's too rough. Like how does she lubricate that? Greg, any thoughts?
I don't even know if you can sand that down.
I think they're going to go into detail about it. I bet you they actually discussed that in the movie, because what else you got to have at least like 90 minutes to make a feature length film. So you got to fill that with something. And even prolonged sex scenes are not going to be interesting. So they're going to have to have something. And that's probably going to be something that gets brought up. How do you loop it?
Well, I got a quick movie pitch for you, and I want you to tell me how fast Hollywood will greenlight this. Okay, so you got this old sort of village, very religious, very conservative kind of village, a couple 100 years ago on the frontier of America. And there's this lonely guy. He's like, he's the local fishmonger. He fishes at the river. He's about 60, but he never got married. So he goes to the local carpenter and he says, "Carpenter, make me a wife." And the carpenter makes him an obedient wife who, gives him the best blowjobs. And, she lays down on her back for him every time he walks in the house. She's a good little servant for him. She's nice. She's loyal. And he can have his way with her anytime he wants and have a good old time for himself with this young, beautiful little wife that has been made for him. So what do you reckon? You reckon Hollywood are going to jump at that?
They
I think it would be
kind of did already. It's called Lars and the Real Girl. However, it was framed as Lars, as played by Ryan Gosling, as needing to be fixed. Yeah,
I saw that. It was Ryan Gosling gets a sex doll, and everyone in the town has to pretend that she's his real wife.
Right,
and he goes through therapy to get fixed, and then at the end he falls in love with the real girl who has a crush on him. I think. Yeah, I saw it. It's a pretty awful movie, to be honest.
Comment says weird science. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, Weird Science is like the last time that we did this, and now that's problematic. Like we don't talk about that one anymore. Common People said it's giving. Hang on, it's giving Wicker. Sorry, can't say it's giving without the accent. That was actually pretty good. Ben McKay
30
said,
minutes Marvel slop.
Marvel slop. Now you know you done fucked up when people want Marvel back. Georgie wants to know these women's longest running relationship. I think that's going to be 0, maybe negative, something like
They've
that.
never got out of the talking phase, I promise.
And along with Despot, your episode, I saved this one for last because this. So as funny as this movie looks, and it looks goofy and just fucking outlandish, the double standard of this does kind of irritate me because if you watch the trailer, there is a fair amount of the trailer where all the other, like once as the trailer's progressing and Olivia Colman is with her Wicker Man and whatever, all the other women in the town start to get jealous because they're like, oh, my husband doesn't fuck me all night long and doesn't do whatever this guy's going to do. I'm assuming he's going to do all kind of house chores, whatever. Right. So what I find irritating about this trailer and about the fact that this is just like, we're all pretending like, oh, this is just harmless fun, is that the whole I hate my wife comedy. And this was correct. We correctly said that's not funny. That's kind of dumb. To just, like, if you hate your spouse, it's not funny. Like, you're just kind of stupid and you have a bad picker and that's a you problem. So we all kind of agreed that was stupid and that the whole I hate my spouse thing is not funny. And we also agreed that a created partner with no agency who only serves you is gross and icky and incel behavior. But it does irritate me that this comes out and the whole all of blue sky, most of the internet is like, haha, this is so funny. What a lighthearted romp. Fuck that. This is ridiculous. If people want to know like why Andrew Tate and his child raping brother exist, this is fucking why right here, because this shit gets a pass. This is a cute little fun. Oh, it's not serious. Haha. But you're absolutely correct that Weird Science is, people don't even talk about that movie anymore because you can't say you like Weird Science. Otherwise you're a weirdo. You're an incel. But then this is okay. And that's why you have like people like, why are young men so unhappy? Right fucking there. They're told they're gross all the time for what they want. But then dark fantasy elf rape daddies, that's fuck. I can find that at Barnes and Noble. But then the manga section where it's a bunch of, hot schoolgirls or whatever, people are like, oh, only fucking losers go to that section. But, if you go over to the romantasy section where two Chads are fucking Eiffel Tower and the self-described mid 6 out of 10 main character that the reader can put on like skin suit, I mean, that's just good, harmless fun. So yeah, if you want to know why guys are pissed, that's it right there. There it is. They're growing up in a world where they're told they're gross, but then the other side is that's fun.
Yeah, the longtime criticism of feminism has been that it seems to be empowerment of women through demonstrating the worst behaviors of men. It's like they never aspire to emulate men's bravery or self-sacrifice. It's always like, what if I just objectified the opposite sex and took away their agency and made them my sex slave? And also if I made all the money and then held it over their head and so I had all the control. What if I did that? That would be empowering, right? And then they wonder why feminism is a dirty word. It's like, well, because it's a dirty ideology and it embodies all of the qualities that you say are problematic and walking red flags. That's why. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Yep, this looks fucking God. You know what? There's a chance that it is funny because it's quirky, but I just my actual read on it is after about a half an hour, you're gonna be like, well, you didn't really have much more than this. Should have been like an SNL skit or a short 10-minute YouTube experiment video or something. This is not a feature film right here. Mm-hmm. This is not. You don't have enough for it.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I do like Olivia Colman. I'll say that she's very charming and she can elevate even this terrible Drek. So, and I think she might be able to save it. And Alexander Skarsgård, he's clearly in his weird shit era, and I respect it because Bill's doing very well. His younger brother with doing weird shit. So maybe the whole family is just going to be like, fuck it, we ball. Let's do the weirdest thing that you can find. So that might be a Scandinavian quirk. Who knows? Maybe
it's gonna be fun. I don't know. The trailer certainly gives you like you want to look away, but it's like a train wreck. You just gotta keep. I don't know. Who knows? It might do. I don't think it's gonna do well money wise, but I think it's gonna be very like people are gonna talk about it a lot. But I wonder how much money it's gonna make.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't look like it's particularly high budget. I wasn't able to find a budget on it, but if it'll probably be profitable as long as they didn't go nuts with the budget.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. This week, Amy Pascal was being interviewed, I think, for the Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, and then at the end of the interview, the interviewer asked her about the James Bond movie that she is producing, and she said that the next James Bond, they're going to announce who they're casting probably by the end of the year, and the next James Bond is going to be, as you can, well, those of you that are looking, really different. That's the next 007 that is being made by Amazon MGM. Is that correct? I think that's what they're mashing
Amazon,
up.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
Amazon is
Amazon.
making
Gonna be
this.
this is the first Bond movie that is not made. Well, it's actually technically it's the second Bond movie that is not made by the Broccoli family. Well,
Yep.
technically
So
the third. I
the
think the
folks that
first
gave
one
us-
was the parody in the 60s, forget what it was called, and then Never Say Never Again was made by some guy who had the rights because of a rights dispute. He was able to get that made.
Was it
because
Casino
he had
Royale with Woody
the
Allen?
rights to one book. And then the Broccoli family made the rest of them. So this will be the first one not made by the Broccoli family, really. And so
Well-
and here's the thing: it is going to be very different. Who knows what she means by it's going to be something really different? Now, to be perfectly honest, I don't think Amazon are stupid enough to like gender swap or race swap Bond. I think they realize Bond is as long as you're smart, every Bond movie makes over $1 billion. And look, the woke era, we were talking about woke one. Who knows if the woke era is over, but woke one is certainly over, right? It could just be that we're in a sort of the eye of the storm and that it's going to come back. But basically, it's safe to say the initial woke era is over. And I don't think that Amazon would be, maybe 5 years ago, you would have seen like a black gay Bond or something. And no, I'm not kidding. If it was Amazon now, it'll be really different, but it's going to be different because they're not going to be adhering to the Bond Bible. So, the Broccoli family had this extensive Bible, which talked about what a Bond movie could be and what it couldn't be, and what Bond could do and what he couldn't do. And they adhered to this very closely, even in the Daniel Craig era, they adhered to it. The problem with the Daniel Craig era wasn't that it went woke or anything. It really didn't. He did become a bit soft, especially in the last movie. They were clearly trying to emasculate him a bit, so he became a little bit emasculated, but at the same time, he's still banging Leia Seydoux, so, you can't complain there. But basically, they adhered to their Bond Bible. The reason the Daniel Craig era was, I think, a failure, not commercially, it did very successful, but I just didn't like the movies because they selected some very awful directors. They decided to initially kind of imitate the Bourne movies, and then after that became a disaster with Quantum of Solace, they decided to fucking imitate the MCU with versification, and that made Spectre this fucking debacle, and just some plain old horrible shitty writing. So it still made money, but it never really went woke, and it made a lot of money, and it's still very much a healthy franchise. Like, this is not Star Wars we're talking about. If you do Bond right, it'll be great and it'll make a lot of money. So when she says it's going to be very different, it's definitely going to be very different because they no longer have to adhere to the Barbara family Bond Bible. They can pretty much do whatever they want now. Is it going to be fucking Elliot Page? I doubt it. But I mean, I certainly don't trust Amazon to do anything good. There's almost nothing to go on. Like Amy Pascal, she says it right at the end of the interview, and it's very vague. She just says it's going to be really different, and that's literally all she says. But because of these are the same people that did Rings of Power, but at the same time, the woman who behind Rings of Power, what was her fucking name? They shit-canned her a year or two ago. Can't remember.
One of the original three.
No. It was the head of Amazon Studios.
Oh,
Jennifer Salke.
Yeah.
So Jennifer Salke was the one who greenlit Rings of Power and made it. She wanted it updated for the modern audience.
Also, Wheel of Time.
Also did Wheel of Time infamously, and a couple of other really shitty projects. And they finally shit-canned her, and she did such an awful job that they actually didn't even replace her. Amazon decided we don't want head of Amazon Studios. We're just getting rid of that role. Like, that is how atrocious she was at her job. They not only fired her, they fired the job. So I don't think you're going to get anything as bad as Rings of Power. It could be this wishy-washy kind of emasculated soft Bond, but oh fuck, I don't know. I have no idea. There's just not enough to go on. And with I do you think Amazon have learned the lessons of Rings of Power and Wheel of Time? And you know, the disastrous Jennifer Salke era. Did they learn the lessons from that?
No, I really don't. And I think that maybe they won't be quite as obvious with it. Like I agree that, you know, you won't have a short lesbian minority Bond, whatever, that's just beating up 8-foot tall henchmen or whatever. Like, I don't think they'll do that. But I also, my read on Really Different is the same as all the other stuff of, well, we have to update it. We have to make it new and fresh, and we have to change it somehow. We're still going to call it James Bond. So the audience is going to be thinking of the 25 other James Bond movies, but we're going to be different. And to me, it doesn't smack of woke. Like, these pictures are funny, but it doesn't smack of like wokeness. I don't think they'll do that. I think that it smacks of the same hubris of every adaptation we've seen for the last decade or so, where somebody has to put their own thing into it. It feels like the Nolan's Odyssey. You went in thinking, oh, this is going to be the Odyssey. And it wasn't. It was some sad, traumatic Vietnam movie bullshit. And so I think that what they're going to turn it into is something that will just be a generic action movie that you would watch and think, oh, is this Netflix? Is this a Gray Man sequel? What are we watching right here? That's what I think they're going to do. And they're going to fuck that up by making it just bland and taking all of the character out of a James Bond movie. What about you, Kristen? You think this is going to go well or not?
It's hard to say if it'll go well. I think it'll do well just because they're going to push the hell out of it. And when people are you know, clicking through Amazon to be like, oh, a new movie. Oh, it's James Bond. I'll give this a watch. So I'm sure they'll get the view numbers. I'm with you, Despot. I don't think they're going to gender swap it. And I don't think they're going to race swap it, obviously. I think they're going to have an Englishman who is, you know, quote unquote, ethnically ambiguous. I foresee someone who kind of has that Oscar Isaac quality to him. It's like, okay, well, is he mixed? Is he just Welsh and dark complected? I'm kind of viewing that. I don't think they're going to cast a blonde. I think they're going to be like, yeah, look, we have our diversity points. He's mixed race, or he's the child of immigrants, or something like that. But I don't think they're going to like stick their thumb in their eye, because the Jennifer Salke era was a nightmare for Amazon. Nobody watched that crap, or if they did that, they were hate watching it. And I think that people who work there have some level of pride. They don't want to be known as the studio who consistently pumps out crap. And especially when you look at Apple TV, they don't even have to, you know, put ads out for their show, and they're still like winning awards and they're getting talked about. You know, I have to think that the people who work at Amazon would like at least a little bit of that gravitas. So I don't think they will stick the thumb in the eye of the Bond watchers, but they will try to get as many points as they can.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's not like there's a high bar here. Like, I think that, I mean, my favorite Bond is Pierce Brosnan, and I think his movies were all great. Even Die Another Day, as bad as that was, it's like two halves of two separate masterpieces, and then they just sort of, one was a comedy and one was like a spy thriller, and they stuck them together to make this bizarre hodgepodge. And then they put Madonna in it, and she wrote the second worst Bond song. It was the worst until Sam Smith wrote his one for Spectre. But you know, Spectre was terrible. Quantum of Solace is the worst Bond movie. That fucking Skyfall was really boring. So the Bond era, the Daniel Craig Bond era, like, these aren't, it's not like it's a high bar. As long as Amazon make like a solid, decent, fucking fun Bond movie, they've cleared that bar. It's not hard. Like, just make a good movie. Don't go political. Don't go woke. Don't try to tick boxes. Just make a decent, fucking entertaining action movie, and you've done well enough. Because Bond was already trashed during the Daniel Craig era.
I don't think that they. I had it up here. First of all, Amazon has really bad. Time Weston is correct. It's down to the writers, and Amazon is terrible at hiring them. And I also just don't think anybody can do camp anymore. And Bond, you gotta know how to do camp without hating your audience, without making fun of your audience, a la Masters of the Universe, which just begged me to not like it constantly in every scene. So you really got to embrace the camp of Bond. I don't think that Amazon has it. I don't think there are a lot of writers that can do that. It's like a lost art. I've got on screen all of the movies that Amy Pascal has produced, because I kind of wanted to look at some of the stuff, and it's mostly hits. There's a few misses, obviously. Venom, both Venom movies. There was the 2016 Ghostbusters embarrassment, but for the most part, she picks winners. Most recently, a lot of the Spider-Man stuff, Brand New Day, No Way Home, Project Hail Mary. So she's got a good track record, generally getting behind and producing good movies. And with the exception of like Ghostbusters 2016, there's nothing on here that's just absolute woke garbage, political, we hate the audience crap. So there is a chance that Pascal would not put her name on it if it were that.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, this is actually a pretty good resume. Obviously, Ghostbusters 2016 is a dark blemish on the resume, but still,
yeah. But that's her first one.
A lot of that is, yeah, that was her first one. I think she was happy just to get her name on the brand, and I don't think that she probably had any sort of creative direction. And that's a weird one. I mean, Ghostbusters 20, Paul Feig or Feig or whatever his name is, he went in there and took a fucking wrecking ball to that. Like, because I looked into this, did some, I studied the production history, and that's a weird one. He basically went in with no script. Chris Hemsworth was talking about this. He said, "Look, Paul, there's not much stuff on the page here. I really don't know what you want me to do." And Paul Feig said, "Look, just go in and work with the girls, and it'll be funny, and you'll have a good time." He was essentially the movie was just hours and hours and hours of improvised skits.
Yeah,
and I think the initial cut of Ghostbusters 2016 was 4 hours long or something. Like the final cut is well over 2 hours. It's so fucking long and so boring. That was what really shocked me when I finally watched it this year to make a video about it, of just how fucking boring it is. But that's a Paul Feig thing. That's really all down to his creative decision making. Just god awful. But other than that, this is a great resume. Like Venom, Challengers. Challengers is a very overlooked banger of a movie. That's a fantastic movie by Luca Guadagnino. Like all, he's a gay director and he does literally gay movies. So obviously he has two guys make out in it, but because they think they're making out with Zendaya, which doesn't make any sense. But it's a good movie. Aspects of it are brilliant. Some amazing scenes. Obviously, Project Hail Mary, Spider-Man Brand New Day just made all the fucking money. So
yeah,
overall, I mean, you compare that to the average Hollywood producer resume from 2016 to today, like that's pretty damn good.
Well, fingers crossed. One more thing before we get to the tournament that we have tonight. We got a shorter tournament to try to save ourselves a little bit of time. But Michael B. Jordan has got a heist movie coming up, the Thomas Crown Affair reboot. And you're saying woke is dead, but there are still tendrils of it here. And this trailer looked really good. I watched it last week on stream and it looks really good. And Michael B. Jordan is a good actor and a good director. So he's got a lot of things going for him, but he is also a real big fucking racist. And so he was being interviewed about it, and I've got it on screen here. Those of you that are just listening, as Crown, Jordan faces off against former FBI agent, which is Adria Arjona, hunting him heist by heist. Meanwhile, an insidious supervillain played by Kenneth Branagh lurks, threatening to take Crown down. But Crown's true motives, much like the animated Lara Croft, are to return precious stolen or sold artifacts to their rightful creators. So it's not just, not just regular heist stuff. This is we're robbing the British Museum because it's a cool meme. And a quote from Michael B. Jordan, "I didn't want a reboot. I wanted a reimagination." I fucking love that word. "The first two films were about a rich white guy stealing for fun. That doesn't land today," Jordan told Variety in November. "Ours is more personal. The stakes are higher. Still got the fashion and the romance, though." So we're updating this for a modern audience. Old things are bad. They don't land today. And we have to reimagine it because white guy stealing is bad. Black guy stealing is not bad, I guess, if he's returning it to their rightful owners or something. So how are you guys feeling about this one? Because this looks slick as shit. I saw the trailer for this and I thought, God, this looks fucking cool. And then I heard about this interview and now I'm mixed on it. What do you think?
Well, did you see the trailer, Kristen?
I did. But I will tell you, I did not see either of the original I didn't see the way back in the day original Thomas Crown Affair, and I didn't watch the Pierce Brosnan thing. And fun fact, the reason I did is I saw the preview. I'm like, wait a minute, So he just steals shit because he thinks it's fun. I was aghast. My morality was offended, and I didn't watch the movie. Now I was a teenager, I think. I was like late teens, but I was just like, why is that a movie? Why are you doing this, Pierce Brosnan? I was betrayed. So I
mean, I've seen both. The Steve McQueen Thomas Crown Affair is kind of mid, honestly. It's not a particularly good movie. Steve McQueen's obviously very good in it, but it's not even close to, one of his better movies. But he's obviously, he kind of just carries the movie. He's very charismatic. He's got this sort of dark vibe about him. He's the kind of guy that women will fantasize about in that movie. But the movie itself is, it's fine. I honestly think the Pierce Brosnan remake in the 90s is better. It's a bit more interesting. It has more. He's a more personable character. Like in the original Steve McQueen, he's a very enigmatic character. Whereas in the 90s, I think they stripped that back a bit and made him just a bit more relatable and made it a bit more of a straightforward heist with a more likable protagonist. Whereas this, obviously, it wants to do a political angle. I watched the trailer. It looks fine. But honestly, it looks like a slop buster. Do you know those streaming slop busters? Where usually what happens is the studio will make it with the intention of releasing it to theater. And then at some point during production, they say, guys, this thing's fucking awful. We're not going to put $100 million marketing budget behind it. Just auction it off. And it ends up on Netflix or, Amazon Prime or something. It looks like one of those movies. It just looks like a sort of dull B-movie slop buster. It'll come out and then it'll be forgotten about a minute later. So the political angle, I didn't see any of that in the trailer, which, like you said, Michael B. Jordan, he's a bit of a race-obsessed dickhead, but he's also intelligent. He is a good director, and he's intelligent enough to know that if he puts that shit in the trailer, it's going to hurt the movie. He's smart. He's a good businessman.
Yeah.
Knows what he's doing. And then he'll save the political shit for his variety interviews. I'm not going to argue the politics of it because it gets into pop history. The notion that the British carried away all these treasures. Some of the treasures were conquered spoils, but honestly, a lot of them were just gifted by like chieftains. Like, there's a local chief and the British come in and this guy wants to get in good with the British, so he'll give them some gifts and then they bring it back to the British Museum. The automatic assumption that it was plundered and stolen, a lot of the time it's not true. And in any case, let's be honest about this. If the British hadn't removed those artifacts from Africa, what the fuck do you think would have happened to them? Do you think maybe those artifacts might have been destroyed in any one of Somalia's 38 civil wars, including the civil war they are currently having? Do you think that maybe the most corrupt government on earth, Nigeria, maybe they might have just embezzled them, sold them off to some private art collector in Qatar? Like, they'd be long gone. And if you took that stuff out of the British Museum today and brought it back to Africa, it wouldn't be there a year from now because it would have been sold off by some corrupt dickhead. So stop this. It's a LARP, okay? Stop pretending that the Africans are even capable of guarding their ancient cultural artifacts. A lot of the time they aren't. They end up destroyed or sold. That's the sad reality. So stop fucking coping. Be glad that the British took that stuff out because they've preserved it and the whole world can now see it if they go to the British Museum. Academics can study that stuff. How about a bit of fucking gratitude for the cultural preservation of those artifacts that wouldn't exist had it not been for the British, who came into your country and abolished slavery because you wouldn't fucking do it. And now you're going to act like the British are the bad guys. Fuck off, man. I hate this shit. I fucking hate Afrocentrist history. It is such backwards, morally inverted bollocks. Right, that's my Despot rant. Done.
There it is. And it was off the cuff. When you start getting history rants, your reaction when Kristen was like, hold up, let me tell you about the fucking publishing industry and these dark romance bitches. You got so excited. That's how the rest of us feel when you're like, let me tell you some shit about history. All right. I can see you like roll your shoulders and fucking get set. I get so excited. So does the rest of the audience.
I'm very passionate about history, and I hate how history has become this kind of this weapon of the modern culture war and pop history. God, I hate pop history with a venomous passion.
Yeah, it is. A lot of it's based on just memes. Like a lot of people, that's what they've got is just fucking memes. Of all the things that the boys did wrong, that the bit with Stormfront basically turning public attention with memes. That was spot on right there. That's how shit goes. People just get their stuff on Twitter or Blue Sky, and that's what they roll with.
Guys, I'm going to grab a quick coffee. I need to recover from my rant and try to cool down a bit.
All right. Well, we're going to start the tournament without him, and we're going to need some audience participation with this one. Oh, hang on. I got to get this one on screen. I got to be technical. So, Kristen, we discovered recently that we can just rank stuff, and it's been kind of fun, and the audience likes it a lot. But we did some 16 thing ranks, and they take like an hour and a half, and it's really, really long. So we're doing an Elite 8 tonight, and tonight's subject is worst entertainment crimes. I was going to go with tropes, but some of these aren't really tropes. They're just things that happen way too fucking much in movies and shows. And we're going to figure out which one is the worst. So we've got 4 matchups to begin with. We've got double standards, which is kind of like Wicker, how we can get away with, haha, men suck, our spouses suck, and we want to be fucked all night. But if guys do that, that's incel behavior and horrible. We've got enemies to lovers, which oftentimes they're not even enemies because we're just told that they are. We've got trauma. Everything is about trauma up against merch characters like fucking Grogu there. We've got yap yap characters that won't shut the hell up. We've got gray morality characters that are not gray at all. They're just straight up evil. We've got subversion. Everything you liked in the past actually sucks, and we're going to turn it upside down. And then we've got shitty color filters. Everything is just blue or yellow or brown. Just gross. So what I'm going to need you guys to do, hang on just a second. Despot ran off, and I need him to run the poll, but I'm going to set one up. So I'm going to get a poll going on, and you guys are going to type 1 for double standards and 2 for enemies to lovers.
I will tell you, it did take me a second to wonder what you meant by yap yap. I'm like, you mean like narration? I don't know what that means.
It is characters that just won't shut the hell up.
Like Aquafina in almost all of the movies. Although I must say, when she was in Renfield, she was so charming and lovely. I was actively irritated. I'm like, why did we not get this actress? Why are we burdened with the squawking version?
Yeah, I don't know why. I guess that's just what she's decided. She is now. Like, she's going to be the character that just won't shut up. That's how she's directed. I guess that's how she gets cast all the time now. It's awful.
It's like you can see her pitching it. Okay, hear me out. I'm Asian, but I'm loud. It's like, that's the pitch. Ugh.
The producer's like, yes, absolutely. This is exactly what we want. All right. So we're going to go with our first one here. Like I said, this first one, I'm going to zoom in on this. We've got double standards, and double standards is just new crap that you couldn't get away with 10, 20 years ago, especially if you're a dude. And then enemies to lovers. This one, like I said, this one bothers me because it's not the enemies to lovers thing. I don't mind that at all. I like Pride and Prejudice. That's the original one. Everybody's constantly trying to emulate that. What bothers me about enemies to lovers is that you just get told, this is the new thing. You just get told these two people hate each other. They hate each other so much. But then you're watching or reading and you're like, they do? I don't seem like they like each other from the first time they met. In Fourth Wing, they fucking did. They were eye fucking each other in the first chapter, but they're like, but I hate you, but I want to do you secretly. But it wasn't secret at all. Despot, can you see the polls that I've created?
Yeah, let me see. No, I can't see your poll.
So you can't get into the widgets and see them?
Hold on.
Because I got 3 of them ready to go.
Oh yeah, I can see them. Do you want me to make another? Do you want me to make a poll?
No, but I think you might have to actually run them.
Okay. Which is worse? Type 1 for double standards, type 2 for enemies to lovers. Okay, so if you're listening to this and you want to participate in the poll, You have to type 1 in the chat. That's it. Just type 1. And you'll be voting for double standards. And if you type 2, you will be voting for enemies to lovers. Which is worse? Oh, double standards is in the lead with 100%. So, guys, if you really hate enemies to lovers, now's the time to jump in and type 2.
If you are watching, the StreamYard is kind of fucked up because the poll only works for the person I think that initiates it. So if you are watching on my channel, I'll have a poll that's actually in chat. You'll have to click it or push it or whatever it is. You'll have to do that there. The typing of the 1 and the 2 doesn't work. Fucking StreamYard. What are you gonna do?
I mean, I actually don't mind enemies to lovers, to be perfectly honest, because a lot of the times I look at a movie and I think, why is there no romance here? This is so. I mean, look, men like romance too, right? It's like if a woman doesn't have a boyfriend or husband, it's like, oh, she's alone and she's empowered. She don't need no man, right? So she's empowered. If a guy doesn't have a girlfriend or a wife, we've got a word for that. He's a fucking loser, right? It's like, bro, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why can't you get a woman? Like, what's wrong? You got no confidence. You got no raise. You got no game. Your dick's 2 inches. What's going on here? But so that's a double standard, for a start. So yeah, I like romance too. And in Supergirl, to give one example, I'm watching this movie and she goes to clubs, she goes to bars, and it's like, what are you even doing here? You just go to get drunk. Like, do you not want to meet a guy? Like, she never even so much as looks sideways at a man. Why are you hanging out in a bar with a bunch of fucking aliens? There's no men there. What is the point of this? Like, every single time I went out as a young man, it's like, if there's no women around, I'm not fucking going out, am I? Do you know what I mean? It was bizarre. This completely sexless girl who never even so much as glances at a man the entire time. It was so fucking boring. Like, give her a romantic interest.
No, you can't have that. No.
That's a double standard I can't stand. Like,
that makes you weak.
I think it has been the last time a Disney princess had a love interest was 2013. Disney haven't given a princess a love interest in going on 15 fucking years.
Yeah,
women have to be. They have to, be single and bored and cuddle up with their dildos at night. But, men are fucking losers if they can't get laid. Yeah, it's got to be double standards. And that's before we get into Bond. Women get to have the sexual fantasy of being fucked by a monster with Wicker. But the male fantasy, which is James Bond, no, you can't have that. We have to pussify that.
Yeah. Double standards took it like by 96%.
Yeah. Also, I don't think people. I think a lot of people like enemies to lovers because it's cliched, but it's also kind of fun.
I like it. I almost never see it done right anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if they are, they're enemies. What? They're mildly irritated with each other for like 2 scenes. I mean, like if I see enemies to lovers, I want them like enemies, like Game of Thrones enemies. Okay, like make there be some stakes to it. That's where the heat comes from.
Yeah. It is. I mean, that's if we want to get crass about it, these romantic ones, a lot of times the sex scenes are cringy, and also it's like, well, this doesn't mean anything when they really don't like each other, and then they start going at it. You get a better written scene that way. All right, round 2. We've got stories about trauma. This is obviously the Odyssey. Everything is about trauma, but also the new Avengers. Everybody was traumatized. Trauma is the new thing that makes a villain not a villain. It's the new thing that makes you feel for a character instantly because one time in 3rd grade, somebody pushed them or made fun of their dog or something and they're heckin' pupper. So now you don't have to write a character. You could just say that they're traumatized and the audience will instantly feel for them.
Yeah, exactly. This is why it wasn't illegal for Jean Grey to kill all those people and, possess Zendaya and kiss Peter with Zendaya against her will and then throw her off her roof. She did nothing wrong, bro. She's got trauma.
Nothing wrong. She was traumatized that one time. It was fine.
Viscerally angry with the Jean Grey destruction.
I will say though, I love how Disney inadvertently accurately depict women. Like a woman can possess people, and what does she do with this power? She takes another attractive woman and throws her off her roof.
Yeah.
or throws a guy in
Throw
front of a
out
car.
that, alas.
Get rid
Throws
of
a guy in front of a car, though. But that guy didn't die. They've gone out of their way to tell everybody that guy.
I saw that footage. He damn sure did. Okay. Unless he's a super powered person too.
All right.
The car was going like 30 miles an hour. All right. So we've got trauma characters, trauma everywhere versus merch characters like Grogu, like I can't even think of any other examples. That one's so fucking terrible. It's all I can ever think of is
I mean, you've got Grogu, you've got Jar Jar Binks was obviously, I mean, he was a merch character because he but the Ewoks was another one. This is an old trope. Like, this is nothing new. It's been not done a lot in Star Wars, but it's done a lot in what was the name of that fucking movie? Predator Gaylord or something. The new one.
Badlands.
Badlands. Predator Badlands had a merch character. That was the gayest movie of 2025. Queer was less gay than
Predator
that.
daddy issues.
That had a merch character. So yeah, what's worse, trauma or merch characters? So trauma is in the lead with 67%. Merch characters 33%.
I've got traumas in the lead on mine too.
All right.
If you want trauma, type 1. Merch characters type 2. If you're watching Despot, if you're watching my channel, there's a poll in the chat. Just click her or tap it or whatever.
So the first poll went 44 votes, 43 for double standards, 1 for enemies to lovers. So I want to see better than that. I'm seeing 33 votes or 35 votes now. So give me better. I want more than 44 votes, and then we'll close the poll. Okay. We're up to 37 votes. Trump going to win. Like, I don't give a fuck. I want more votes. All right. I'm like the Democrats at the 11th hour. Just keep fucking bringing the votes in.
We found more. It's crazy.
And 100% of them are for Biden.
100% for trauma.
Yeah. All right. So trauma, and I can understand this. This is also, by the way, I know you wanted to know what I thought of the Odyssey, Greg. I saw it. It's shit. It's better than some of his other movies simply because when he writes on his own, he does a lot of, like, Nolan does a lot of plot contrivance and plot holes and things like that. Because he's working for Homer, he doesn't have those issues. Although when he changes it, he actually ends up with a few plot contrivances. But because the plot is solid, it's better than, say, Inception or Dark Knight Rises. But yeah, it's killed by the fucking one-note trauma nonsense. It's and lots of other stuff. He just fucks up all the major set pieces. All the major sequences, like I'll not go into it, but basically, yeah, trauma, that did my head in. I'm so sick of that trope and seeing a traumatized Odysseus. Oh, God, it was just like, I was just in the cinema, my eyes rolling into the back of my fucking head. So sick of this trope. I've seen it constantly. You had it in the Odyssey. You had it in Spider-Man Brand New Day when Jean Grey has trauma. You've got it in the New Avengers. They're all trauma. I'm so fucking bored of this trope. I'm so sick of it. Do something else. I know that these Hollywood types are all big into therapy, but guys, get a bit of fucking life experience. Read some books. Okay.
Well, it's also because the elevated horror thing, they leaned into, okay, well, this is actually an allegory for trauma, and they made buckets of cash, and they were like, what if we did that with every genre?
Always an allegory for trauma in modern horror. Why I'm mispronouncing so many fucking words today. It's always an allegory for trauma. I'm sick of it. All right, thanks for voting, guys. We're going to move on. We have the Yap Yap trope, which I've talked about quite a bit on my channel. So basically, any J.J. Abrams movie, The Force Awakens is notoriously a Yap Yap movie. The Rise of Palpatine is a Yap Yap movie. It is the characters. It's characters who won't shut the fuck up. But it's also movies that won't shut the fuck up. So the movie never takes 10 seconds to just vibe, to just be quiet and let you take in the sound of a jungle, for example. A good example of that was Predator Gaylord. That movie, just no vibe, no atmosphere whatsoever. Just yap, 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 the tree, remember the tree? The tree, hey, there's a robot over there. Let's go to further over. Oh my God. Just the entire fucking movie. And then the fucking Disney shows came out saying it was the best Predator movie since the original. fuck me, I can't with these people. So it's not just the character. Yes, it's the characters who won't shut the fuck up, but it's just the movie, just when a movie doesn't shut the fuck up. So the yap yap trope. And then we got gray morality, basically. Yeah, the morally gray villain. I don't even know if they think of, do they even think of Ironheart as morally gray? Because I think they think of her as just a good guy. It's just, it doesn't matter.
I don't think they do.
Yeah. Well, but so that's the thing is they'll either think it's morally gray or they'll think that it's, I think their version of gray is, well, yeah, she's a little flawed, but exterior circumstances just absolve her of everything. Just like Jean Grey, it's, well, you know, the damage control kidnapped her sister and she was lied to, and so her destroying the city and kidnapping an old woman against her will and everything, that's all kind of water under the bridge. It's like woke one. It was crazy. Like, you know, it's you know, you're not gonna worry about that. Or I do think that they thought Ironheart was like badass. Like, sure, maybe she's a little flawed. If you're a racist, you might think that, but she was just super cool and she was sticking to the man. So yeah, I do think that, I think they see their characters as a little bit flawed, which they were told in writing class was how you make a character interesting, like give them some flaws to make them interesting, but they don't really want them to have flaws. And so then they write all of these exterior problems that absolve them of all of their flaws, and they write that into the story. Ironheart was the far and away number one example of that shit.
And the fact that they think poor is an identity, like the last time we were on here, we were talking about Ironheart. She just glossed over any possibility she had to make money, but it's like, no, she's poor. That's why she's doing this, and that's why it's okay. As if she didn't have the ability to almost instantly become not poor because she was smart enough to invent, you know, pretty much anything. So it's just
crazy.
Ugh.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to start this. You got the yap yap and gray morality. So vote 1 for the yap yap trope and vote 2 for gray morality. Personally, I think gray morality can be done reasonably well. Severus Snape is a good example of it. That's a morally gray character.
So it
done very well.
Can.
I don't think yap yap can ever be done well. A movie that just never shuts the fuck up is unwatchable for me. I just fucking cannot watch that shit. Once you know what's going on, it's just insufferable.
I think the only show that I've ever liked that won't shut up is Gilmore Girls, which famously had scripts that were like 4 times longer than any other show. Everybody spoke quickly. I think West Wing, I would also give that. Everybody's talking constantly. I like both of those, but they're the exceptions are so few and far between that they're almost a data discrepancy at that point.
And they're very stylized. Like nobody was supposed to look at Gilmore Girls and say, yes, that's what small towns in Connecticut look like. Obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, you can have motor mouth characters. That's fine. And you can have those Aaron Sorkin type scripts where the characters are going constantly back and forth and they're very, very chirpy and very snarky and snappy and witty. But it doesn't necessarily need to be a yap yap production. The director can actually have moments where the movie, is quiet and where the movie breathes a bit and where there's pauses in conversation and where you have a character contemplating something or just looking at something. Jobs is an excellent example of that. That's a Danny Boyle movie. Very underrated. One of the better biopics of the 2010s. Or is it called Steve Jobs? No, it's called Steve Jobs, the movie.
This was the Fassbender one.
Yeah, that's really good. Massive bomb, but fantastic movie. And it's got that, that kind of Aaron Sorkin style dialogue, but it's so well directed that it does have those moments to breathe. So Yap Yap is winning. It's on 55%. So, if you're listening to this and you really just fucking hate gray morality because it's been so massively overdone, type 2 in the chat. So we'll give the people who hate gray morality a chance to catch up to Yap Yap.
Yeah, and, my chat's other way. I'm 60-40 gray morality.
Well, I got Yap Yap 23 votes and gray morality 18 votes.
What's interesting is our audience is kind of, because you talk about the Yap Yap stuff a lot, and so your audience is leaning that way. I fucking hate gray morality. Can't stand that lately. I make a bunch of videos about it, so, and they're leaning that way.
Gray morality is catching up. It is catching up.
I think the only morally gray character that I can really think of that I think consistently gets done well is the Punisher. It's the only one that I can think of. It's like the only real anti-hero that I can think of, because in my opinion, a gray morality is when you have two things that are bad, but one is badder, and you have to do the less bad thing to get rid of the more bad thing. Like, in my opinion, that's a gray morality question. The Punisher, I think, is a great character for that reason. Because
I would say Swearingen from Deadwood was probably a good gray character. Like, if you look at the famous gray characters like Breaking Bad or The Shield, they actually weren't gray. They were just black as night. It just took you 7 or 8 seasons to realize that. But Swearingen, I think he was gray, in my opinion.
According to Collider, so I pulled up a Collider article here. Here's some examples of morally gray characters. John Wick, Jack Sparrow, never struck me as a morally gray character. He's just a sort of dull good guy. The Bride, from Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2, morally gray character. Severus Snape, that is a good example.
Snape is a good,
Harley
that is a good one.
So they say this is another example of Hollywood thinking that a villain is morally gray. So I recently did a review of Birds of Prey in my feminist film video, and Harley Quinn isn't morally gray. She's just a villain, but they think of her as morally gray because she's a woman, and when a woman does it, that means that it is not illegal. Kylo Ren, what? Morally gray?
Multiple planets worth of people.
Killed his own father. What?
And Loki, morally gray. So it's not a good article. They got it wrong in some of those. So I have it
redeemed.
All right. How many votes do you have? So I've got Yap 29, morally gray 27. What do you got, Greg?
I've got 38 votes total, 60-40 to gray morality. I'm not going to do that math at the moment, but let's call it 30 votes. 30 votes gray.
All right, we'll call it for gray morality. It's a close one.
Yeah.
All right,
that was the first real tough one there. All right, and our last prelim here, we've got subversion just in general. I've got Luke Skywalker here drinking the blue titty milk to represent that, but it basically just, I mean, the Daniel Craig Bond, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo is just old and sad. I mean, just anything.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones is a bitch getting punched out by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Like, basically anything more than 10 years old. Fucking
Terminator. They subverted the Terminator. The Terminator, he murders John Connor in front of, John Connor's mother. Take that, haha, you didn't expect that. And now we're going to replace John Connor with a fucking tiny Latino. That was fucking hilarious, though. She's like 5 foot tall and she's trying to girl boss everyone. Fuck. So that was, that's your sort of Hollywood subversion. Everything that is old and male has to be subverted and turned lame, fake, and gay. So that's your subversion's going to win this. This is going to be a fucking walk.
It's going to be bad. But your contestant, this is unfair. Your contestant is shitty color filters. I'm just fucking tired of everything being blue or yellow or just gray.
Because they don't bother to light it at all.
You go to Mexico and all of a sudden somebody has taken a piss on the camera lens. Stranger Things, some of the Stranger Things season 5 stuff was horrendous. There's overly emotional scenes and it's just baked in blue. The entire fucking room is blue. Their faces are blue. It's all blue. And they've got this hideous synth wave. Oh God. People don't realize how, oh fuck me. That was so bad. Stranger Things season 5 was historically awful. I'm telling you, man, that was Game of Thrones season 8 level bad. That was shocking. So all those shitty filters, but we know subversion's taking this, so let's just get the fucking poll up. All right, guys, vote. What's happening here? Well, I can't show it.
Hang on a second.
Oh, sorry, my fault. All right, guys, vote 1 for subversion, vote 2 for color filters. Color filters doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. This is going straight to subversion. So I am interested to see by how massive a margin subversion wins. You've lived long enough. How does it feel to see, what's the meme? How does it feel to have lived long enough to see all your favorite franchise turned to dust? Something like that. Oh, we got a vote for color filter. Somebody really hit. I got 3 votes for color filter and 31 for subversion.
I currently have, I got 35 votes total, 95%. I don't get to see the individuals. 95% subversion though.
All right, let's just fucking give subversion its win and move on here. This was a total mismatch. This was fucking Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul.
You know, I picked him at random, didn't think about it. But I did just want us to get a chance to bitch about color filters for a minute. The Odyssey is
I mean, look, I fucking hate color filters.
Gray filter everywhere.
Awful. Yeah, the Odyssey as well, just gray. Ugh. Can't stand that. And what's so annoying is that it's so easy to not fuck it up like that. Just take the filter away and it'll look better. There's the opening scene of Spectre, I think it's Spectre. He's in Mexico. One of those Daniel Craig Bond movies. I saw the original footage next to the Mexico yellow filter because, you know, he's in Mexico, so you have to use a yellow filter because Mexico's yellow. And the one without the filter looks far better. Far better. If you gave the raw footage to me, forget about a fucking editing, bro, because I've made YouTube videos. I could make it look way better than the movie. It already looks better. You just need to clean it up a little bit, put a letterbox on it, and you're done. It's that fucking yellow filter is awful. But yeah, that's had its moment. We hate color filters. Subversion wins. Let's move on. So we're now in the semifinals.
So semifinals, we've got the double standards. If I could spell standards, there we go. So we got double standards up going against everything being about trauma all the time. I got a poll ready to go. Go ahead and start that one.
All right, guys. So I don't see the poll. Hold on.
That's weird.
I'll make the poll just.
Yeah, you saw the last ones I made. Fucking StreamYard. And back to the lighting. Yeah, like Kristen said, a lot of times there's no lighting at all, which just.
Yeah, the
I
night
didn't
lighting.
watch Game of Thrones, but I heard all the bitching about the just the complete black episode that just who the hell knew what was going on the longest, darkest night or whatever the hell.
Okay, guys, which is worse? Type 1 for double standards, type 2 for trauma. Now, this one I really don't know. I don't even know which one I'm going to vote for.
Interestingly enough, double standards is winning 67-33, 2/3 to 1/3. Double standards is taking it. I think the audience is kind of a little pissed, and I've got 30 votes in. They're a little pissed about the constant double standardizing of characters, plots, all that shit.
Yeah, it's the behavior of the female characters as well. Like, you look at Ant-Man's daughter in Ant-Man 3, like, she's such a horrible wee bitch, but she gets away with it because she's a woman. Or the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, you had Reva, who's running around chopping people's fucking hands off, and she's murdering people. But again, she gets away with it all. Like, Obi-Wan should take her fucking head off, but she gets away with it because trauma, and she's a traumatized character, but she's also a woman. Again, Jean Grey thing. Well, she committed all these atrocities, but she's a woman and she's traumatized, so it's all right. You know, we'll let her away with it.
Yeah. Have you seen the new? Ahsoka 2 trailer?
Fuck, mate, we're gonna have to watch that, aren't we? Jesus,
there's a lightsaber arrow, bow and arrow. Have you seen that one, Kristen?
No.
Me and Greg, we're gonna have to watch.
Check out of all Star Wars.
Spare us a fucking moment, lads, of pity, because we're gonna have to watch that fucking Rings of Power and Ahsoka season 2.
I didn't finish Ahsoka season 1. I got halfway through it, and I was so bored. I never saw Anakin. He apparently comes in episode 5. 4 entire episodes it takes to get somewhere. I never finished that season. It's just I didn't even hate it. It was just nothing. It was a waste of my time. It was horrible.
Yeah, double standards takes this one. It's a walk. It's easy.
Oh yeah.
I agree, by the way. Trauma can be done well. It's massively overdone, but it can be done well. Whereas double standards are never good. Always bad.
What I will say, so the D23 stuff, I thought about talking about tonight, but mostly just trailers. There is one thing that I am kind of excited about. There's going to be a Bluey movie, a full-length Bluey movie. Of course, it's going to be, it looks kind of 3D, so it's not the same art style, which is unfortunate, but There was one episode of Bluey that showed how they made like the whole, like it zooms out and shows the Wacom tablet of them actually editing and creating a scene, and it's a lot of freaking work. So I don't know how you'd make a feature length movie like that, but I will be in the theater to see the Bluey movie. That's just a given because I have kids. So that one's going to make all the money right there. Next up, we are going to have our semifinal round, gray in quotes, morality characters versus subversion. Hang on a second when Despot gets back, because he's got to run these on his side.
Yeah, I'm here. So what am I running?
Gray morality versus subversion.
Subversion's obviously taking this one. Because again, gray morality can be done well. It's very rarely done well anymore. But subversion, we're just going to destroy everything you love because we fucking hate you and we want to assert ideological dominance over the past.
And that's the problem. Subversion can be done well as also. It's perfectly fine. It's just overdone, and you're absolutely right. It's a bludgeon at this point.
Yeah, it's vile, and people hate it, and they're sick of it, and they want it to stop. But that's the other thing. It won't stop. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. They're going to find it, and they're going to fucking disembowel it. Malcolm in the Middle. Like, who the fuck ever would have thought that Malcolm in the Middle would be subverted and updated for the modern audience? But no, they had to take it, and they just turned it into this horrible, and it just needs to be said, fucking woke garbage. I watched all the episodes of that Malcolm in the Middle reboot show. Dear God. That was shocking. That was like straight out of 2019. Just peak woke fucking junk.
That was awful. Kristen, did you watch that one?
No, I did not watch the original, and I definitely did not watch the reboot. However, I did see the, softly lit, I'm trans child lecturing her parents. I was like, oh, I'm not sorry. I missed out on that.
All right, guys. If you want to stick the boot into subversion, just hit 2. Who gives a fuck about gray morality at this stage? I mean, it can be done well. It usually isn't.
Yeah, it's subversion. I think might take the whole thing, because it is. The reason subversion is going to take this one is because it's personal, right? It personally pisses people off because it is a direct middle finger fuck you from the writer's room. Oh, you like Luke Skywalker? Guess what? He's sad and pathetic and awful now. How do you like that? We fucked your hero up. You don't like my Wheel of Time show? What if I make Perrin gay? Fuck you guys. Well, fuck you, Rafe. Motherfucker. He's one that's going to get 2 slaps. If the FAFO Act is passed, I'm going to fly to Los Angeles. I'm going to find Rafe Judkins, and it's going to be 1 fucking 2. Open-handed. I won't punch him, but it's going to be a fucking open palm.
All right. So, gray morality wins this. Or sorry, subversion wins this one. Gray morality never stood a chance. All right. Final round. Yeah. In our previous stream, we did an Elite 16, and it took us well over an hour and a half. So we'll like to do more of these in future, but I think we've finally got it right here. 8 is the correct number. 16 is way too many. Yeah. Unless you want to go the entire stream, which I wouldn't. I think it's 2 1 note for a full stream, but I think 8's the perfect number.
It's also hard to come up with 16 independent things that you don't feel like, some of that could have been combined. You really have like 12 or 11.
And we could even do like a mini one in future, like a 4 related to a show. Like, what's the worst thing about, I don't know, fucking the new Harry Potter show or something. Anyway, although because it's Harry Potter, we'll have a lot more than 4. We'll have like 8 or 16, but whatever. Here we go. Which is worse, double standards or subversion? Type 1 for double standards, type 2 for subversion.
See, this is a tough one because both of these, and mine's 50-50 right now with 22 votes in.
They're very similar. They're actually connected, and I'll explain why. Let's take Luke Skywalker, for example. So they trashed Luke Skywalker, but not Leia. Leia was left alone as the leader of the resistance. Now, she was actually a criminally incompetent idiot in the sequel trilogy, but they didn't realize that. That's just because they're awful writers. They thought of her as an inspiring political and military leader. But it's that double standard. your female characters that you loved in the past are never going to be subverted, but the male ones will. This is why the Terminator becomes the murderer of John Connor and a drape salesman, but Sarah Connor still gets to show up with a fucking shotgun and a grenade launcher and save the day. She still gets to be a badass, but not the Terminator. He gets to be a pussy, and John Connor gets to be a corpse because we got this Latina girl, far more diverse, much better savior of mankind. So it is subversive, but it's also this disgusting double standard whereby they'll keep the old female characters the way you remember them, but the male characters, no, they were always bad and evil and pathetic and emasculated and wrong, and the Jedi were always wrong and evil and bad. Oh fuck, it's they are connected, but I mean, Subversion looks like it's going to win this pretty easily.
I'm pretty neck and neck. Double Standards is eking it out in my poll. Just a little bit, 35 votes in, with Double Standards taking 54%. But you're right. It's a tough call between the two because they're both very personally insulting. They're both very, well, if we're talking about the male audience, it's very fuck you to them.
Yeah, it's a big middle finger. Subversion is a big middle finger. Kristen, which would you vote for?
I would say Subversion, just because, if you have a double standard, we could pass that off as a blind spot for the writer. It's like, oh, well, I'm writing someone who reflects my truth. And okay, that's just bad writing. You can kind of pass it off. But Subversion is always willful. It's absolutely a big fuck you to everybody who's watching it. Oh, you like this guy? Oh, you saw yourself in him? Well, you're just as big a loser as he is. Like, there's just a really malicious kind of way to doing it. So yeah, I would definitely say Subversion.
Yeah, I think Subversion takes us pretty easy, Greg. Though that was not a competitive final, but I wouldn't have expected it to be. I think Subversion was the favorite going in.
Yeah, it's hard to beat. It is so abhorrent and so irritating and so personally offensive. Like, which is it's incredible that they keep doing it. That's the really crazy part. But Subversion takes this one for the worst entertainment crimes. I've got a couple of super chats here, and then we will we'll do what we're playing next time. We don't have time for that segment ever. We got to do that earlier in the stream, I think, is what we got to do. Joy Bag of Donuts for $5 says, how does it feel to live long enough to see all your favorite franchises go up in flames? Feels great. Such a great line. And Virgil Alpha and Omega 1 for $10. Hi, Despot. Love the channel. With the recent release of Spider-Man, what is your favorite Spider-Man movie? His is OG number 2. And what IP do you think will have the biggest redemption? Marvel, DC, Star Wars, whatever.
It's a good question. So my favorite Spider-Man movie and my favorite comic book movie is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man number 1. It's just fucking excellent because it really captures the psychology of a very young guy, basically a man who's crossing from sort of adolescence over into manhood. It's simple things like he tries to impress MJ with a car. Like that's dumb. Like, girls aren't impressed by a car. That's just stupid. If you've got a simpy guy showing up in a car, and then the sort of dark, mysterious, confident, funny rock star type who may or may not have a permanent address, who the fuck do you think the girl's gonna go for, right? But you don't realize that at that age. At that age, you sort of think maybe you can get the girl with a car. And then he has this geeky Spider-Man costume, which he thinks looks great. And the human spider, I'm the human spider. He thinks that's a great name. Again, it's that horrible taste of a young guy who thinks that this is all very, this is all great. And then he sees his uncle dead and he has to sort of leave that boyish nonsense behind and try to become Spider-Man. It has very real meaning. It's the whole thing's like an allegory for a guy trying to, and it's one of the reasons people connect with it so deeply, because it does have that effect on your psychology. It shows the journey of a young guy crossing over into adulthood and taking on responsibility. That's why it's so profound. And I think that's why the Spider-Man character endures, because it's such an important story to tell for any civilization. How does the young man cross from the life of sort of boyish nonsense where you're dressing up like an idiot and wrestling because you want to get a car to impress a girl, which is, that's bullshit, right? That's boyish bullshit. How do you go from that to I need to be a hero and actually use my talents to improve society and to save people. It's an amazing movie. And then, of course, there's this amazing moment at the end where the Green Goblin dies and he looks up at Spider-Man and he says, "Don't tell Harry." And when I first saw that as a kid, I thought he was saying that out of shame. He didn't want his son to think of him as an evil man because he felt ashamed at what he'd done in his last moments. And that's part of it. But when I got older, I realized what he's really scared of is he's not thinking of himself. He's thinking of Harry. He doesn't want Harry to end up impaled on a wall. You know, he's looking out for his son. And it's this little moment of, I wouldn't say redemption, but it's a little tiny little bit of redemption at the end. Little moments like that. The movie is full of them. So definitely Sam Raimi's Spider-Man #1 is my favorite comic book movie, favorite Spider-Man movie, obviously. And then what Peter, I think will have the biggest redemption. I think that Marvel is just slop now. So Spider-Man Brand New Day, yes, it's full of plot holes, but it's also got some good stuff. It's just entertaining cape shit slop. I don't take the Marvel movies seriously anymore. I expect them to be awful. And when they're not, I'm pleasantly surprised. That was the case with Spider-Man Brand New Day. Nothing special, but certainly entertaining. DC haven't got hope in hell. James Gunn was the wrong guy. That is going to be a fucking disaster. And I think that at the highest levels of Warner and Paramount, they're already plotting to shitcan the guy. And they need to stop doing versification. Just focus on your biggest IPs and make standalone movies. Just stop it. Stop it. You're not going to be Marvel. So DC, I don't think so. Star Wars is a corpse. Maybe James Bond. I think if any franchise has a chance of redemption, it's James Bond, because all you have to do is make fairly decent, not even great, just fairly good Bond movies following the old formula. You know, the formula they were still using in the Pierce Brosnan era. They won't be anything amazing, but they'll be fun. You know, give him a couple of girls to bang in the first act, and then he's sort of beginning to fall in love with the girl in the second act, and then she becomes involved in saving the world in the third act, and you've got an evil villain with a scar, and, you know, lots of crazy gadgets and some gear porn, and some nice, you know, locations. Nothing special. It's pretty easy to write a good Bond movie. Just do that. So I think that certainly the franchise with the best chance of redemption is a Bond franchise. So, yeah. And thanks for the $10.
Nice. Last super chat is Decibel for $5. Malcolm in the Middle was already a complete inversion of conservative values. Didn't need a subversion. And yeah, that's true. You know, what was nice about Malcolm in the Middle is that it wasn't, I mean, I wouldn't even call it a complete subversion of conservative values. I just thought it was you felt it emotionally. Like it was a messy family. It was a crazy family, but it didn't put family down. It didn't ever make it seem like family was bad or, you know, the couple, they loved each other at least. And the family had weird stuff going on and the boys were fighting with each other all the time, but it felt a little elevated because it is a TV show, but it felt normal. It felt natural. It grabbed you. There were parts of it that you watched like, oh, my family does crap like that. That's what really grabbed it. The new one didn't look anything like family because it was some weird, twisted writer's version of what they hate about their family and what they wished everything looked like. And so it didn't land at all with the audience.
Yeah, before we end things, Kristen, where can our listeners find your channel? What's it called?
Right now it is called Kristen McTiernan, but my handle is still Nonsense Free Kristen, the @Nonsense Free Kristen, but that will be changing. So I think if you just put Kristen McTiernan in the search bar, you can find me either way.
All right, so Kristen thus far, she's been doing booktube stuff, but she's going to shift and she's going to be talking about movies. So if you're into film analysis, character analysis, especially it's going to be a bit different as well because you're coming from a literary perspective and, you know, an editing perspective. So it'll be a bit of a fresh take on stuff. So if you're interested in hearing about that, then check out Kristen McTiernan's channel. Greg, you got any videos coming up?
You're going back a little ways, right? Like Kristen, you said you're not doing super new stuff, so you're going to be analyzing more 90s type stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to say mid 90s to probably 2010s with 2016 as the hard cutoff.
Good stuff. That's going to be fun. That's going to be real fun. First video is going to be about Heat. Sorry, I cut you off, Tessa. What were you saying?
You got any videos coming out soon?
I don't know. I'm in the middle of writing like 4 of them, but I just can't. None of them feel good at the moment. I'm in a weird spot with it. So I think the next one, I wrote a video a couple of years ago about it was this whole exploration of postmodernism and how the current state of Hollywood just reflects so many of the problems of postmodernism. But there were some issues with that video, and I was kind of new and I wasn't great at editing and stuff. So I am working on rewriting that, and I'm going to redo that one. That might be the next one that I tackle. So hopefully that's coming.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. And yeah, if you have any suggestions for topics you want us to cover in the next live stream, please. And it doesn't matter how obscure. You know, if you want us to watch a black and white movie from 1923, just write a comment and we'll watch it and we'll talk about it. All right. Thank you very much for listening. Well, actually, I'm kind of stealing Greg's bit. This is his show right now. It's his turn. So, Greg, why don't you sign us off?
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Good night, guys.